What is up? Hey. What's in your cup? Hey. It's Good Time Show. Hey. You better know. Yeah. It's good on Monday. Good. We gon' party all day. Turning up all the way. Getting lit. Good.
I don't know how many more goods I had. I think I already hit every level, so I was a little nervous. I didn't know where to go.
I didn't know where I was going either. But hey, y'all. I am your girl, the Princess of All.
And I'm Gud Monday.
And we are here on the Good Time Show. Oh, yeah, you want to go?
Oh, yeah.
We here, y'all there. We partying everywhere. It's Monday with fun day.
Sorry. This is definitely a Monday.
It really is.
I feel like Mondays got mad at us last season. I'm a BB.
I'm back.
I'm a BB.
I'm back with the full effect. I'm back with the full effect. I'm back and I'm back.
Join and welcome to the show. It is Monday. We are happy in here on a Monday.
We are happy. It's been so many things going on that's trying to steal our shine and our joy, but we're not going to let them have it. No way.
It's been intense.
No, sir.
It's been very intense. Everything is good, Ty. Everything is good. I heard you got your winnings from having the most people.
Yay! Congratulations
the most people
to
tagged.
Tyler. Let's give him.
Nope. I guess it's because we didn't find a cute name for our people. They wasn't supporting us like that.
That's true.
You know what? We're going to get them next time, though. Ty, congratulations. I don't want to be a hater. Our good fam.
But we got to do better.
Yeah, apparently, because they ain't like it enough to go and tag us.
But we really didn't promote it like that. Like, I can't even front.
Yeah,
I didn't.
We were being good team players.
Yeah,
okay?
I wanted everyone else to win.
We want y'all to get the chance. I did. And we got a new co-host coming soon. Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. I like that.
I'm so excited.
Well, that's cool. That's good news.
Wait, I feel like we should get this.
You muting? He muting?
I'm muted. I'm muted. And I just turned it down.
There we go.
Sorry, y'all. Y'all know when y'all jump on.
You know it's got to be
It's
something.
already.
You know she got to get her filters right. Her filter fish. Why did I'm looking at this acting like you not sitting right there. I'm like, where'd you get a lip ring? As if I couldn't look across the table. And yeah. Oh man, stick with us, man. Stick with us.
My makeup yet.
There's a lot to process today.
Man,
And yeah, look, Ty got a new co-host. I didn't know. Now I know that. Now I got to process that
I don't know
information.
anything. Listen, y'all. I'm gonna apologize to everyone who is possibly listening right now in advance. I just told Cujo this. I was just briefly, somewhat diagnosed by Google and myself.
At least you didn't say TikTok, because these kids are like, oh, TikTok.
No, I'm not TikTok diagnosed, but I'm myself diagnosed. I have a form of like ADHD. I think with like a smidget still thing of postpartum depression or just like somewhat depression. I don't know. But it's been really hard for me to do stuff lately. Like I've been
just in general.
I've been in a funk. Like I avoid doing things that I know need to be done just because I don't want to do anything, and it's very bad. And I'm trying to get out of it, but I just wanted to apologize to everyone in advance right now who's listening, who may come across this like, oh my gosh, Princess, I text you, you didn't text me back. I'm sorry. I really want to text you back. I'm trying to find the mental capacity to just kind of continue to keep going and keep pushing because, I mean, we're all human and we all, you know, get overwhelmed and overstimulated, and I am there. I'm at my maximum capacity, and I am trying to find a way out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the light at the end of my tunnel.
There really isn't one. So, I mean, I would say,
why would you say that?
Because here's the thing. People like you and I,
encourage me.
Because people like you and I, once everything calms down and dies down, we can't handle the calm. So we figure out a million things to do to fill that void. Yeah, it happens. It's the ebb and flow of being a mover and shaker. Unfortunately. So I think your ADHD is mostly just you being a boss and having 75,000 different things to do a day.
And 3 kids. I mean, you know, you got 8. But...
I mean, you pretty much nothing you can do about it. This is your life.
I mean, debatable, because, I mean, there is the fire station.
I was going to say, there is running away.
I don't know what the age gap is
13.
on the fire station.
I want to say up to 13. I think after 13, you stop.
What's the age max on the safe haven, y'all?
I think it's 13, because me and my wife been talking about it constantly, all the time, with each of our kids. As they go into their a-hole stages,
Safe delivery is a law which allows a parent or parents to safely and legally surrender their newborn no more than 3 days old.
No, wait. Okay, you talking about safe surrender. Wait a minute. No. This must be a different thing. I heard.
Only up to 72 hours old or younger.
What?
Yeah.
Since when?
Yeah.
Hey, baloney dip in the building.
Hey, baloney dip. It's me.
We're talking about how old a kid can be for you to drop them off at the fire station. And Google is saying no more than 3 days. I always heard 13.
In other states, like Arizona, Georgia, Illinois, New York, Vermont, may accept infants up to 1 month of age.
Come on, man.
Darn it, so there is an expiration date.
That's terrible.
You got a 3-day back or guarantee or get your money back.
That's messed up.
So your receipt does work only up to 3 days.
3 days.
So take that doctor's bill. You only got 3 days.
Sorry, Doc, can't take this one. I'm gonna have to
take it to the safe haven.
Just take this one back. Checked out.
I mean, now you can always just leave it, but we don't want to do that.
No, that's not good.
He said 5 years.
I want to drop off a 24-year-old. Change the locks, my dude.
No, Google says, "Can I give up my 14-year-old daughter?"
Right. I mean, that's exactly what we was.
It says both biological parents must consent to the termination of parental rights. The parent voluntarily can give up her or his or her rights, but it must be served with an adequate notice before doing so.
Yep, see that? It says you can put your kid up for adoption at any age. Who's gonna want them?
That's not our
Do you have
problem.
to write references?
We don't want them, clearly.
Wait, do you have to write references and like give a detailed description of why you want to give them up? Because I feel like that's a setup.
Yeah, that is a setup.
That's like when people try to give their dogs like, great dog, cool with others.
He just bit my kid's face off, but I mean, he probably won't bite yours
Won't
off.
happen
He's great.
with you, but
that's why I hate when people are like, "Oh, my dog doesn't bite." I hate when people say that. Listen,
you don't know. It's a dog.
Thank you. He don't bite you because he knows you. He does not know me.
Right.
So if he sees me as a threat, he can and will bite my tail. So do not tell me that your dog does not bite. He don't bite you.
I would never say that to anybody because I don't know if he hasn't seen you yet. I mean, I know your vibes. I think I know your vibes. But But he might send something else.
He might do something
he might bite your
completely
face
different.
So.
Ooh, I remember this scandal.
Yeah, they got fired.
Rub the ground.
So you want to hear something sad about good news? So with all the things going on and all the sad stuff that we potentially will be talking about today, I just decided to Google search good news from the weekend, right? And I can't find it. There's a whole section on today's website, and it's supposed to be all good news, and everything's from like weeks ago, months ago. Well then.
Wow.
I did find a website called goodnewsnetwork.org. It's really not. That's really sad.
I mean, we got another good news. Flavor Flav says he survived a 6-year crack addiction.
Hey.
It cost him $2,400 a day.
You buying $2,400 worth of crack a day and you still living? I don't believe it.
Yep, he's reflecting on, his bad drug binge. In the past, he says that he nearly cost him his life and did cost him almost $1 million in 1 year. He's convinced God allowed him to survive to share his story.
That reminds me of that Chappelle Show episode. He sold our house. You didn't get the flyer? We had a $500,000 crack party. We had crack piles up to here. I had a heart attack. It was great. Dang, Flav. You realize how many Sarah McLachlan
$2,400 a day.
Sarah
on
McLachlan's
crack.
so mad at you because all you had to do was send $1 a day to wherever country she was promoting, and you could have saved how many kids' lives?
I mean, but crack?
Could you not tell that he was smoking dope?
I thought it was coke.
Nah, that's nah.
There ain't no coke.
No, I've been. We've seen our fair share of crackheads.
So I guess that's what they really say when they say black don't crack unless you're on it.
Yeah, because you can tell. You can tell. The sad thing is, I don't know if it's sad or what to call it. I don't think that's the adjective I want to use. But certain drugs, well, every drug I feel like has its specific look. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell somebody that's a meth head. You could tell a crackhead. You could tell for the most, well, I think cocaine's probably a harder one to. Cocaine's probably a harder one to. If they do sign, you know what I mean? But the average.
I always mean that because I have really bad allergies, and I always do that. And I'd be wondering, like, do people just be assuming that, like, I be snorting coke?
Probably.
Because I'd be like,
plus you is kind of like go. So they probably like, oh yeah, she most definitely got that.
I don't even
shit.
drink Coca-Cola. Like, I could never.
What are you looking?
I have no clue. I just want to see this one story.
Exception.
Detroit made hot boy.
I did see. Okay, so that is good news, and I'll lead into you reading this with saying that I saw a video. First of all, conspiracy theorists were going ham and saying, "Oh, we think DeMar Hamlin's dead because he's not showing his face in none of these videos. We think he really died, and they hide and covered it up, and blah 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 blah." I don't know, and you know me, I'm always skeptical of everything. So of course I'm like, "Oh yeah,
He
right."
jumped down a rabbit hole.
And then I started seeing all these videos of him posting, you know, say at the game, he has hood on, or he's taking pictures next to stuff. I was like, why he covering his face? Is he? Dun, 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 dun. But yesterday, he posted a video talking about everything and all of that. So, all you conspiracy theorists out there in the world that thought they were covering something up and old boy was gone, he is not. Okay, he has spoken publicly.
Speaking of football, I just want to let everybody out there know that 2K, not my game. Rocket League, not my game.
That's the bomb.
But Madden, Madden.
Oh, here we go.
That's all me. Okay.
Here we go.
I used to play Madden with my dad like years ago. My dad actually taught me how to play Madden, which is why I loved it. But I mean, it was like Madden like 04, 05, 06. Like it's been some time since I played Madden. Yeah.
Characters.
And I think the last one I played was like Madden 2012. But I mean, that's like playing 2K12. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge difference from then and now. And now, like, it's big. But however, long story short, my son tried to like play me because he think I'm a girl. He think I don't know how to play the game. So he tried to like, Mom, let's play Madden. Okay.
Thought he was
And
gonna
I
catch a quick
spanked him.
dub. He thought he was gonna catch a quick dub.
And then he was like, well, I mean, I don't really know if that worked. So, like, we played again. And then when we played the second time, I was winning. And I was like, come on, let's just switch controllers. So I gave him my winning team. And I got his losing team. Well, he didn't let me know. And I wasn't paying attention that it was third quarter when we switched controllers.
So he beat you.
So I scored a touchdown. But by the time I was about to score again, the game ended. So in his mind, I won.
That's your
but
fault.
technically,
You was being no. You can't do no technicals. That was your fault. You shouldn't have been. Look, I'm not like you.
So
I'm not giving my kids any kind of chance to beat me. I'm salty.
No leeway at all.
When it comes to my kids and stuff like that, I am a salty, terrible loser. I am not a graceful loser when it comes to my kids. Anybody else? I got great sportsmanship. I'm gonna dap you up. I'm gonna congratulate you on your prowess and all of those things. When it's my kids, you grounded.
Because they beat you?
You grounded.
Oh, you so bold.
Yeah, daddy ugly. Talk about your mama, your daddy.
That's so bold. But
Everybody
yeah, I
can
just want to let everybody out there know, like, if you really want a piece of the pie, come play me in Madden. Okay?
Speaking of which, we haven't created the Twitch yet for the station, but I have been talking to my gamer friends and my kids and all that, and I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, Hot 93, 97 Twitch.
I think it's going to be fun.
You know what?
I will be streaming Rocket League. Rocket League is my jam. Come get you some.
Before I forget, we're doing it live, baby.
So I got to make sure I can. Hey, mama.
Oh, hi,
That's my
mama.
mommy. Hey, baby. Good to see you, mama. Thanks for joining the show. Look, we got to clean it up. Can't talk about nothing bad. My mama on here.
Oh, sorry. I was, wait, should we do Night Network?
Yeah, that everybody can hop on. So, here coming up soon, probably tonight, since we're starting this now, you can catch me, myself, streaming Rocket League on our new Twitch account. Look at us, spreading our wings. And any of y'all who want to get bodied,
I can fly.
if you want to get bodied in Rocket League by
We
me,
gonna stream it on.
if you want to get bodied in Madden by P, shoot us your gamer tags
Yeah,
and get this work. And get this work. I feel like gaming was blowing up for a while. Now it kind of.
Okay, so for me, I feel like gaming really, everything in the world is an illusion.
An illusion.
A lot of different things that's going on right now. I mean,
Yeah.
people are making it like being a gamer, being a streamer, being a Twitcher is just like so hot topic and so the world. But I mean, it's tricking people. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it's fun, but you have to be the person that thinks outside the bun and not just jump on the bandwagon. Because like we talked about before, whenever there's a trend, there's a trap. And if you just keep following it, I mean, be the coder, create a new game. You know what I'm saying? Whoever created the algorithm, you know how many M's he's sitting on right now?
Oh, yeah.
To be able to create that and then sell that or partner that with Facebook and Twitter and all these kinds of different things, like, be that person.
Oh,
If you're that smart to play the game, create a game
Right.
or of some sort.
Well,
Like
you got to think about. So, I heard somebody say before that everything that's ever going to be created is here, as far as raw materials goes and stuff like that, right? You just have to find a way to make something innovative with what you have. So, I would say if you're a gamer, yeah, go game and do all that if that's what you want to do with your life, but find a way to make your page or what you do innovative. Make it different than what everybody else does. Because now, these days, that market is also saturated. So, you know, there's not going to be a second coming of Ninja. You know, Ninja got in when it wasn't mainstream to be a gamer and all that. And he made it, you know, was one of the people, the pioneers of making this a mainstream thing. So, busting into the rap game. You ain't going to do what everybody else is doing and you blow up. You know, it's not happening to everybody. So, you have to have something that nobody else has. You have to be somebody that nobody else is, and you got to make a wave. So I think he's right. If you're that kind of individual and you think you want to be a streamer or a gamer, you have to find the way to try to create something. Try to create a new gaming system, a game, or a new. Don't just follow the trend of being a gamer because you're gonna end up looking like everybody else and not
know
really
what
reach.
to do.
Not reach what you wanted to reach.
It's not going to reach. And then, like you said, when that thing goes down, then what are you going to be?
Hilarious that I saw that thing on the news about TikTok the other day.
Oh, no, right?
Just talking
But then you have to think about, you know, actors and actresses. That's why they're so diverse in their acting films. They can't only do love or comedy.
That's
They're
what
all
I hope to be, because it sucks for people. And if you listen to any actor or actress who had a huge role, their first role, like David, what's Dennis Radcliffe? What's his name? Harry Potter?
Oh, yeah. How you get stuck in that one category.
You get typecast. And it's great to have a franchise like that, obviously, as an actor. You hope, you know, whatever you do blows up and is monumental. But what do you do after that?
How do you follow that up?
How?
That's just like Carlton, too. He said once he got, you know,
because how do you see them as anything different, right? So now you have to be an incredibly talented method actor almost to be able to convince people that you're not that person. So it makes it extra hard. You know, I think people that got on shows like NCIS, Criminal Minds, that lasted 15 seasons.
If you think about it, those kinds of people have forever careers.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to be a mainstream. Think about the stories.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Grey's Anatomy. What was
no,
it?
go back to the stories. Go back to the General Hospital.
Hospital.
Man, them cats been on air for like
I mean,
30
they didn't
years.
die, came back to life, re-died.
They was they twin.
It was a twin. They had a baby, and then they went back as a baby.
And then he was the baby.
It just
turns out
it has just forever gone. But they have forever careers.
Right.
Even when you think about the Espanol channel, Telemundo, their soap operas are so elaborate and so long and longevity, and those actors and actresses get paid for years.
For sure.
So
that's the dream.
So it's like, would you rather be a soap opera actor, or would you rather be a what's the movie motion picture?
Right.
You know, actor.
I personally, like if you talking about me, right? They're gonna offer me a role somewhere, and it's between this big motion picture feature film with The Rock or a startup, you know, sitcom that's supposed to be good. I'm gonna go with the sitcom.
Me too.
Weren't we talking about this about what's his face, Aquaman?
Yeah, we did talk about this
because that you don't realize, man. Like, I've worked with some people that have been in some big movies, right? And even though the movie is successful, you have to understand that movie is one paycheck, right?
That probably took them 6 months to a year to film.
And that's unless they're getting paid a whole like $40-50 million for a movie, which none of them are.
And unless they have like writing credits or something where they're getting residuals, which most actors are not getting.
That one check.
Which I think they should stop that. I think actors and actresses should get residuals and royalties from their movies.
I've never looked into or understand the royalty breakdown on the movies. I know songs every time it's spun, whatever. How are they tracking movies that get played and the
But I
royalties
would
from
think that
that?
that's easy because you got Netflix, you got the TVs when it's playing on
Well,
TV
now,
networks. You got
but do you remember before all that when you had to go to Redbox and get the CD, or you bought the CD itself?
But I was gonna
it
say,
times?
even then, you buy in the CD, they can track how many CDs is being bought.
And
Like
they
you can get
still
them at
get
the
it
end of
off
the
the
year.
sales, just the one boom. So I can watch that movie. I bought that movie. I can watch it a billion times.
Well, let's do it off the sales.
Either way,
I don't know. We're gonna come up with a way.
Either
We're
way,
gonna sell it to them.
you got to realize, and what I think people don't realize this too. These actors and actresses are just like everybody else, every other profession. They have other businesses, they have endorsements that they do. Like they're not making their huge money off of that movie necessarily.
Yeah, most of the time they only get like a half a cut from that movie after they're done paying their agents and everybody else gets a piece.
That's just like Based on Love, I think it was talking about Friday. He said he got something crazy like $500 or like $5K or something like that to play that role. And when he was telling that story, everybody was all up in arms, like, "Oh, Cube, that's messed up. You should have done." And he was like, "No. He was like, that role gave me a career. He was like, I was never complaining about the money I got because it wasn't what it is now when we shot the movie."
I was gonna say, and that's another thing that people don't understand. So when films are recorded and they're getting the budget, it's not what it is Because if I don't, I'm gonna forget, and it ain't gonna get
Do
done.
you know how many people wish they could have that skill? Like, think of something and immediately do it. I feel like if we do that more often, if anybody,
Things will
everybody,
get done.
if you do it more often, it's a procrastination killer for sure.
So, and people don't talk about those kinds of things like in school wise. And y'all, today I wanted a completely different show than we had today. But there's so much serious stuff going on in the world. I don't know if we're gonna have time for what I want to talk about, because I want to talk about the girls' trip or boys' trip thing.
Oh,
we're
yeah,
still
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
get
yeah,
into
yeah.
later this week, hopefully.
DK drunken kid, what up, though?
But
Did you come from Twitch?
did you come from Twitch? But in school, it's certain things that I feel like they don't quite prepare you for adulthood. And procrastination is one of them. Like how not to procrastinate. How to, like, teachers will be like, hey, you have a paper due at the end of the week. Okay, but you're not teaching kids how to work on a little piece by piece each day of the week to then have a full formulated paper at the end of the week. So what do kids do? They wait all week until the night before and cram it in and do the paper. And then they turn it in and they get a bad grade. But you're not setting them up for the proper tools to learn those things. And people don't understand, once you start doing that in high school, then you do that in college. Then you do that in real life, in adulthood. And it's like, who's teaching us how to make those huge transitions to, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow, I'm going to turn it in late, still get half credit. Because then you start doing that in adulthood, being like, oh, I'm just going to do it tomorrow, and you technically are still getting half credit because it's something that's not done, you know? And I'm saying this because I'm trying to talk myself out of a lot of procrastinating things that I'm doing right now.
Well, that's the crazy part about it, too. I feel like the majority of the world are procrastinators. And how can a procrastinator teach someone how not to procrastinate?
I don't know.
They'll probably wait and do it later. I'm the world's worst procrastinator. You know what's attached to procrastination, though, is the rationalization stage. Because you rationalize up until the point where you have to, right? And then what's the main thing every procrastinator says? I work better under pressure.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a skill. No, you have to get it done. So you're getting it done. That's not a skill. I should not applaud you for the fact.
That is true. I say that all the time. I work better under pressure.
No.
But it's true. But if we allowed ourselves to give ourselves a timetable, you would still be under pressure, but it would be done on time. So like if something is due Friday, you tell yourself it's due Wednesday. So that way, in your mind, you're sitting down and you feel like it's crunch time, but it's done.
I like that. That's almost like setting your clock forward 10 minutes.
Oh, I have to start
So
doing
you
that.
think
My
you're
husband
late.
was always late and made me late for everything. And I hate being late. Y'all know me. Like, oh,
I can't do
stand
it.
So I set all of the clocks in the house like 15 minutes early. So even in the cars, so when he looks at the time, I'm like, oh yeah, it's this time. So
But
we're
you know
at
what
least
killed that, though? Cell phone.
That's true. Because then he'll look at his watch and be like this. But then this is where I hit him too. I always tell him that it starts like 30 minutes earlier than it really does. So if like the party, if the party really starts at 3, I'm like, oh yeah, it starts at 2:30 because I know we'll be leaving the house at 2:30.
BPT.
And it's so annoying.
We should start adding BPT to our times when we get what time it is.
BPT.
Black people time.
Oh, black people time. Yeah. And then you know
So-
what else kills me with black people? It's a quarter till. First of all, because a quarter is 25. Whoever made
Here
that
we
up.
go.
And then it's only supposed to be 15.
Do you want
when
me
he said
to
quarter.
ruin it for you and tell you why?
Why?
So quartered, when it says a quarter to, we're not talking monetary. We're talking fractions. So the quarter of an hour, quarter of 60 minutes is
Yeah,
15
but
minutes.
yeah, but
I had
don't
to
do
look.
that.
The only reason why I even say that is because it used to make me mad too. But then when somebody hit me with that one day, they're like, "Look, dummy." I was like, "Oh."
Like, it just doesn't make sense. Just say it's 15 minutes till such and such, or it's 9:45,
Listen,
or it's 3:40 something.
They say to
Pick
be
a
the
time.
change you want to see in the world, right?
You have
So
to.
from here on out, you and I, when we say it's a quarter till, that means it's 35 because there's 25 minutes left.
I'm just not gonna say it. I'm just gonna say the exact
all
time.
quarters are now gone. No longer.
It's
except
46
quarters.
minutes after the hour. That's
There you go.
That's what I'm just gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be
shaking up the norms.
I'm gonna be frank about it.
I know everybody named Frank on this planet is so confused.
You know why they say Frank?
I don't.
I don't either, but I'm about to make it up. So it's because when people say quite frankly,
right.
So you're like abbreviating quite frankly. So to be frank about it, frankly about it.
That just gave me a really good idea. This is something
I
that.
made that up, y'all. I don't really know.
Oh man. I had an idea on our road trip that I completely forgot about that I just remembered. Remind me to tell you because I don't want to say it on air because it's one of those that I feel like will be taken.
Okay.
Wait.
Road trip?
I had the idea on a road trip.
Oh, to do this.
Gotcha.
You probably did. I'm not sure.
What is the origin of
frankly?
Frankly.
What is frankly?
Frankly speaking.
Oh.
Who?
You. What is the origin?
Because I want to know.
What does frankly mean?
Listen.
Like, what's that so hard to type in your search box? I'm so confused.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
What is the origin of?
Oh, I'm tired. Man. I want to know.
Just say what was.
No,
frankly.
because that gives me the definition. I don't want the definition.
Where did frankly come from?
Whatever. Origin of.
You don't know how to work the search, y'all. You gotta say it as well as possible so that Google can understand.
So Urban Dictionary will pick it up. Frankly, is an adverbial form of the adjective frank, which Middle English got from franc, an old French 1300s.
It's wrong.
Oh, that's my damn. Grammar phobia blog? Oh, here we go, rabbit hole.
He jumps down these from time to time. I just let him go.
I love it. So
I just let
here
him
we
go.
The French in turn got the word francus, a medieval Latin word used as an adjective for free and as a noun for a member of the Frankish tribe that conquered Rome and gave France its name. Oh.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, I'm gonna read this at another time, and I'll get back.
Because you got to break it down, I'm sure, in the word and the terminology.
Because it's going deep, deep into things. It's not. They need like the. Never mind. It just goes my idea. I'm not gonna say it on air because actually, you know what? I will.
No, it's timestamp. So
Here's what I'm gonna say.
it.
Here's the documentation. Is this video? So I want to have a website, right? That is it's basically the end all be all of origin. I forget what I was gonna call it. The name for it too. Maybe if you're watching, do you remember this conversation? And do you remember what we were gonna call it? So basically, it's you go to this place to find the origins of anything, like why it is what it is. Basically, why is there a Martin King Boulevard in every city? Why is this thing? Why is it? That was a bad. But all the little questions that you ask, like little dumb questions that you ask about why this is that or whatever the case may be, you can go to this website and hear what the origins of all these sayings are, or why things are named certain things and all around the world. That was the idea. That was the idea.
That could be in the Good Times Dictionary.
The origins?
Yeah.
In the dictionary?
Because what's the purpose of going in a dictionary if you can't really find out where this word comes from? What's the purpose?
I don't know if they have the originations of all words in a dictionary or just the meanings.
I don't know. Could be a web search, but I mean, Who's to say that we can't create that? With
That's
the Good Times
facts.
Dictionary
That's facts.
on the app.
That's facts.
So y'all can go to the 9297 network and hear all of our origins of where we got our words from.
You are the
created.
origin of every word in that dictionary.
Boom. Boom. Shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka. That's how we're going to do that.
Man. If y'all are wondering why we're all over the place, we are frantically trying to avoid talking about the madness that is
It's going on in the world.
Our world.
It's just, it's preposterous. Liking the song. Who created it? Ty says he's liking the song. Who created it?
Are you talking about trying to find origins, or is there something literally playing that we don't
I was
know?
gonna say, is there something playing that that I don't know, or maybe he's talking about the background song?
Could be.
Oh, he could. I probably have that a little bit louder. All right, I just turned it down a little bit.
Has he never heard that song before?
I don't know. A lot of people may or may not hear it because we kind of talked over it.
Yeah. We talk a
So
lot.
some people. Ty, is that? Are you talking about the
Good Time Show.
The Good Time Show. Take you where you wanna go
on the Good Time Show.
Are you talking about that? If so, let me know. He sent that. Oh, he just said that. So yeah, let me know. Let me know.
Let me know.
Let me know.
All right. You want to do this thing so we can talk about something real?
I don't.
I know.
I don't want.
Let's talk about some lighter-hearted things then before we go into that. So it's only we'll start all that after the potty break.
Okay.
We'll just end the show out with
Now let's put it in the middle and then like
hype it up.
Yeah, then hype it up. Hype it up.
Because we don't sound like ourselves. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know.
Oh, he said, yeah, that way. Maybe I'm late. Oh, no, you're not. You're fine. You're not late. Yeah, a lot of the times people don't hear it because we have it so low in the background. It's like our talk over music. But that was actually created by a band, VR and Time Bomb. They wrote the whole entire Good Time Show theme song for us a couple years ago. All original instruments. They played it. Everything.
You in need of some music, Ty? Holla at me.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. There she is. Wifey just joined.
So now that she's in the building, we have a huge announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Wifey, she is moving up. Y'all can kiss her soft.
She gonna be teaching your kids.
Yeah.
Might be a little scary. I'm scared for y'all because you know that she lived with me, and now she's gonna be responsible for your kids' well-being.
She said, hello, my love.
Don't know how you guys feel about that.
No, she can
Show
manage.
Warner.
She
What up,
got
guys?
8 kids that she's put through
Facts.
school. She been teaching her whole life.
Facts. So my
She
wife
got
originally wanted to be a teacher, and then through divorce had to support 5 kids on her own, so decided to be a CO. Complete opposites. So she went from
See, she needed that CEO energy to be able to channel with them kids.
right. Well, they just
Because
had
they won't try her
what she
now.
got from being a CO is she learned nice chokehold moves, right?
And the
So
kids don't try her now.
I keep telling her,
See?
choke these kids out.
They know better.
You know, so she gonna go
If I
in there,
was in the
lock
jail-
it up, bring some handcuffs.
Heads in bed, lights off.
When she gets an actual classroom, I think I'm gonna go in there and build her like a makeshift jail cell. And then if any of the kids
That's
get
a
in trouble,
timeout area.
lock them up in the.
You
Baby,
know,
we
I
gotta
want to
talk.
hear her yell. She has such a soft, like, voice.
You don't know her like
I've never heard her voice go over like just her calm, like chill.
That's the
pitch.
funniest thing about it because her family is a family of screamers.
Really?
That woman yells more than you would imagine.
Okay, now you got to record her yelling for me one day because I need to hear it.
Because she is a very soft-spoken and very
Because
sweet
I don't
woman,
even
right?
think that I would be able to take her yelling serious because of
If
how
any of
soft
my
her
kids are
voice
listening to this
is.
right now, they're like,
Really?
yeah.
That's funny. It's always the quiet ones, that really
Yeah.
get with people.
She said being a CO is an overglorified babysitter, so still same job area. True. She was just
Absolutely.
babysitting grown-ups.
Yeah,
Or people that were supposed to be grown up and wasn't being grown up.
trying to get them people to not do conjugal visits.
Oh my lord!
That's even nastier.
The sad fact is there was COs that was conjugaling in her where she worked at.
Yeah,
they were conjugaling.
Hey, look, I watch Orange is the New Black. I seen that.
I missed that show.
Okay. I
That was
really
my
do.
jam.
That was my show.
That was my jam.
They had a lot of seasons, and now I'm so happy because a lot of actors and actresses from that show is getting roles
Yeah.
on other
Oh,
shows. And I'm
yeah.
like, dang, they've been in the game for a long
For a
time.
minute.
So that's what's up. But okay, talk about her job. She
Yeah.
got it.
So she
Congratulations, round of
is
applause.
now a substitute years for her to get back to the career field that
But she did
wants.
it.
She did it. I'm so proud.
didn't
She
give
goes to
up.
school. She's almost close to getting her degree. Like she's been
Whoop,
plugging away
whoop.
at that through COVID, through the house fires, through the babies being born. She's stuck with it.
Never stopping.
she never
That's
quit.
how you do it.
We were on a road trip driving from California to where we are now, moving, and we would stop at rest stops to get some sleep. She was like, "Oh, I got to do some homework." Like, legit would stop after 13 hours of driving and open her laptop and get work done. So I'm so
That's
incredibly
all you gotta
proud
do.
of you, my love.
We
I'm
got
so
2 people
happy.
watching
You are
on
incredible.
Twitch already.
Hey, there we go.
I don't know who's watching.
What's
on
up, Twitchtons? How y'all doing, folks?
Hi, Twitch world.
Welcome. For those of you on Twitch that may be wondering what this is the Good Time Show on Hot 93.97, 93.97 Network.
Yes.
I'm Cujo Speaks.
I am your girl, the princess of all.
We are brand new here. We legitimately just made this Twitch about 20 minutes ago. So, welcome to our craziness.
And we are trying to avoid topics that have been going around in the world right now, but we know that it's something that we have to discuss and we have to talk about.
Yep.
The
last hour has just been us scrambling not to talk about these things.
Yeah.
I've been really emotional all weekend about it internally. I did a show Friday night for the first time, just kind of talking about my story. And during the closing ladder of the show, a friend of mine asked if I had seen the video yet, and it got released as I was on air. And I watched it. I did a short video afterwards, and I literally couldn't formulate what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that video definitely it got chills going through my body right
It's
now
exhausting.
because yeah,
it's exhausting.
that's all I can say.
Oh, okay. There's new news. So I'm away, but I just found some. I'm hoping this is what I think it is.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, listen, this is what we're going to do. Since it is the top of the hour, 5 on the East Coast, 4 CST.
Don't you do my...
Okay, I'm not going to time.
See?
Okay, I'm sorry.
You see
okay,
how this
okay.
got... Look, this has got us so
Okay,
jacked.
it does. Okay, so it's 5 on the East Coast, 3 on the West Coast.
And 4 CST.
And we're going to take a potty break. We're going to grab some waters. We're going to clutch our pearls because when we come back, we are going to be talking about this Tyree Nichols story. As much as we don't want to cover it, but there has been a lot of people asking us our opinions on it, just from us being us here on the Good Time Show. So when we come back from a quick potty break and song break, we are going to get into the nitty gritty.
It's gonna get serious, folks. Do us a favor. Share the live, share the YouTube, share the Facebook, share this everywhere.
Yes.
I really want to know you guys' opinions on this, and if it's all right with you, this will be the only time we talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't want to carry this on. I don't want to keep. So
I'm good.
Anybody you guys think would have something good to say about this, or want to learn what we know and talk this out? This will be the one time we're doing this.
One and done.
So tell them to come holla. Let's have a conversation about it, and hopefully we can get together and do something that will spark some change.
Absolutely. So, like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop into a couple of songs, and then we are going to come back and talk about this. So, don't touch your dials. Jam out with us, and we'll be out of
My favorite place in London is your bedroom. Watching the clouds from your window. Since I've been here, shit's been simple. Public displays of admiration. Kiss me on the subway station. Transfer from Oxford Circus, headed to your place. I don't usually do this, but just for you, I'll make an excuse. Yeah. Say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Like I do you. Don't know what's gotten into me though. Ever since I touched on the Heathrow, I'ma need a sequel after this. I'ma need to see you after this. Need another season after this. Got me spending time and taking trips, tripping over you. Love the after party room too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Like I do you. Say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Just say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Say you miss me too. Like I do you. Like I do you. Say that you miss me too. Like I do.
I got my head out the sunroof. I'm lost in your favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. You got those pretty eyes in your head. You know it. You got me dancing in my bed, so let me show it. You are exactly what I want. Kinda cool and kinda not. Wanna give myself to you. Yeah, we're driving down the freeway at night. I only got one thing in the back of my mind. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof. I'm lost in our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than the sunshine in my eyes. I got my head out the sunroof. Oh, 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 oh. You got me stuck on the thought of you. Oh, 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 oh.
Hey, top down on the 405. Half hour late, we on LA time. Girl, come through if you still outside. You a VIP, you can skip that line. Right here where you ought to be. Penthouse view, girl, you got your seat. From the 415 to the 909. It's a long drive, but I'll give you a ride. Cause we'll drive the top of my whip. Sit back and get comfortable. One hand on that wheel. Other hand on my baby boo. Can't believe that I'm here. Ain't it crazy what love will do? Ooh, 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 ooh.
I got my head out the sunroof. I'm lost in my favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than the sunshine in my eyes. I got my head out the sunroof. Oh, 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 oh. You got me stuck on the thought of you. Oh, oh,
I'm stylish, glow, talk big t-shirt, Billy. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Talk crazy when I pull up in sight. How high? Run that back, I'm stylish, glow, talk big t-shirt, Billy. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Talk crazy when I pull up in sight. Hey, how high? Go first, hey. Put it in perspective. I got everything I wanted and some extra. I am not the type of turning into a detective. Got to on my own phone, barely even check. Uber eats the food I don't call, I just text. Guess I don't tell my little got a best. Next time my Lexus, no backseat, so no besties. I checked it, no guesses, so don't text. Hey, 2 pistols, 30s in the clip, these are Kimbos. Open and smack him in his nipple, jump Kimbo. You be throwing cash on the strip, my little for the free. I got a but a they got me. I know she trip when I trip, so I they pillow talking about me like I'm free. But she ain't know this shit. 3 in my I'm stylish. Talk big t-shirt, stylish. Proud of and from the back on the island. Heard him talking crazy when my name was silent. Mama, run that back, I'm stylish. Yo, talk big t-shirt, Billy. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Talk crazy when I pull up in sight. Mile high, run that back, I'm stylish. Yo, talk big t-shirt, Billy. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Talk crazy when I pull up in sight. Mile high, the first class, I'm the pipe.
I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. Ooh, what you do? Make a move, could've made a move. If I knew I'd be with you, it's too late to pursue. I bite my tongue, it's a bad habit. Kinda mad that I didn't take a stab at it. Thought you were too good for me, my dear. Never gave me time of day, my dear. It's okay, things happen for reasons that I think are sure. Yeah, I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. Yeah, I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew you wanted me. Say to me, there's no point. I wish you wanna play with me. I wanna know. Can I bite your tongue like my bad habit? Would you mind if I tried to make a pass at it? No, you're not too good for me, my dear. Funny you come back to me, my dear. It's okay, things happen for reasons that I can't ignore. Yeah, I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. You can't surprise it to me. I'm everywhere, I'm cross-sighted. Now that you're back, I can decide. And I decide if you're invited. You always knew the way to wow me. Go round, get tongue-tied. I turn it on, I make it rowdy. Then carry on, but I'm not hiding. You grabbing me hard, 'cause you know what you found is biscuits, it's gravy, babe.
Woo! What is up, everybody? I'm your girl, the princess of all.
And I'm Cujo Speaks.
And we are still here on the Good Time Show. You can call it the Snacky Snack Show right now. Because y'all know we got to get our snack in, okay?
Man, it's always... I'll be fine. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm just not going to eat. I'll be fine. It'll work out. For some odd reason, once we take a break that we didn't think we were going to take, like the hunger hits you, you got pee, your headache.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Well,
I was snacking. I didn't pee. We're going to have to take another break.
Well,
we're going to have to.
Why don't we just take a break at the top of every hour? I think that's legit. Because that way, too, when we have guests in studio, that'll be our intro and release times.
Yeah. Top of every hour. Break.
Take a little break. Stop killing ourselves, man.
Yeah, because we used to talk for like 3 hours straight, and then we started realizing
it was cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was cool. It was fun just to say we did it. Mm-hmm. But these days, I'm like, we're not as young as we was last year. You know,
we're not. For a whole new year,
things have happened.
Bladders are changing. We're evolving, y'all.
Yeah.
While I finish the rest of these chips.
Man. So part of what I was mad about, I'm not mad about anymore because I got some clarity because things have happened that I wasn't aware of.
No, wait. Before you go there.
I know. I'm not about to. I just wanted to tell you.
I'm going to talk about what I am mad about.
Oh. Yes, please.
Cujo just tried to play me, y'all.
Oh, don't even. See, listen.
He tried to play me. But it's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because I got strength.
So now here's the secret, though.
I got gauze.
In life, you can't always worry about what the next person. You know what I mean?
That's where it comes into play. Mind your business.
If you're hungry yourself, you can't not eat because somebody else don't want the food.
That's true.
That's just like I say with alcohol. Like people are like, oh, do you not want to be around people that are drinking? I'm like, nah, I'm cool. You do you. I don't want you to stop being you. Just because I've decided not to.
And that's the absolute truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not going to fault you because I'm on and it's not even to say that I'm on like a diet of cutting anything out because I chose to not have a slice of pizza but eat some chips. But that was my decision. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a conscious person. Now, the fat me back like 4 weeks ago, I would have ate both. I would have ate the chips and the pizza and my lunch I did earlier. But
yeah.
Decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I'm a big dude, and me eating it's called dirty bulking when I eat that way.
Dirty bulking?
Dirty bulk. So like,
where did that come from?
It's
thing?
real. It's a real thing. So guys who work out and want to gain muscle, you go on a bulk, right? So the lean way or the good way, the healthier way to do it is like lean meats, protein powders, up your caloric intake, stuff like that. When you dirty bulk, you eat whatever.
When I hear dirty bulk, maybe it's just because of the
dirty pop.
Not that one. Black Eyed Peas. Dirty beat. Dirty beat.
Yeah.
That's what I think of. I don't know, but that's because I was a Black Eyed Peas fan. Hardcore.
Who wasn't a Black Eyed Peas fan?
There's a few people that work. Like they just don't know what they were missing. Like I had a whole jam session over the weekend, and this is before we get into the heavy talk, y'all.
Yeah, it's coming.
But I had a whole jam session over the weekend, and I really started to like think about my music that I played. Like I was a very well diverse kid when it came to music. Even still now, like I went back and I was listening to some old Justin Bieber, some old Hannah Montana.
Hey.
I was listening to some old Avril Lavigne, some old Black Eyed Peas, and then I switched it up with some Little Mamas and some Sierras and the Yin Yang Twins. Like I was very diverse. Like you have to be diverse. But one thing that I will say, and I have to give credit when credit was due. Yes, Miley Cyrus knew what she was talking about when she made that song. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has bad days. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that way.
Hey.
Like that was such a slept upon song, and I was singing that to my kid because he was in trouble at the time. And I was trying to get him to understand, like, you're a kid. Everybody has those days, But then I started thinking to myself as an adult, like, dang, this song is hitting hard. Like,
especially coming from her, because she's one of those people that like had a real long stretch of doing questionable things. So,
really did.
I mean, she would be the ambassador of
Nobody's perfect. You're living you
of being wild. I've always been a fan of hers, though. People always hate on Miley.
Yeah, I love me some Miley.
I don't see anything wrong with crazy Miley.
I don't see anything wrong with Miley, or I don't see anything wrong with anybody. If people know me, they know that I like people who I can relate to. And people like a Keke Palmer and a Miley Cyrus and a Justin Bieber and a Raven Simone, I relate to their life stories, because where on one end you wish that you had this notoriety, but then on the other end you're thankful that you did it and that you were able to go through your struggles in private, because those people did not get a chance to go through their growth in private. When you think about a Chris Brown and all those kinds of things, like they live their life in front of the media, and when you do that, it gives you a completely different outlook on life, and it's a bunch of different traumas that you didn't even know you had
Big facts.
So yeah,
big facts.
Speaking of trauma,
right?
Dun dun dun.
Oh man, hold on. So wait, before we get there, I gotta pull some things up first. Let me get prepared for this first. Okay.
I know, because what is this that you just sent
So
me?
I gotta, that's a whole different thing. So we're set. Let me get all my ducks in a row here. So if you guys haven't, well, I'm sure everybody by now knows about Tyree Nichols. I'm trying to get one of these outlets run down so I don't get the story wrong. But long story short, another young black man has been.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Another young black man has just been murdered by cops. His name is Tyree Nichols. He was 29. I want to start by saying it doesn't matter what he did. It doesn't matter how much of a fight he may have put up. None of those things matter, because in the very beginning of all of these things, you have your certain group of people that say, well, if he wouldn't have resisted, blah, blah, blah. Please don't come up in here with that. Like, completely unacceptable, no matter what the circumstance. I also want to start by saying no time ever, besides when a weapon is lifted towards those officers, I'll say a firearm, because I don't even think somebody who has a knife in hand should be shot and killed. Anybody who is military or law enforcement has had training or should have had training hand-to-hand combat on someone with a knife or something in their hand, right? If you're at any kind of distance from that person, they are not a threat to your life. Unless they got like ninja stars and real good aim.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. So in this circumstance, I did watch the video, and I watched it once. I haven't scrutinized it. I don't even really know what the officers are saying happened. All I did was watch this video and, hear what people have been talking about. And nowhere in there is anything about it right. So I think the biggest thing to talk about, or the biggest thing that people are talking about, is the swiftness at which these officers were, one, fired, and two, charged with murder. And the fact that all 5 of these cops are African Americans, right? That alone is enough to have me bamboozled. Like, when I heard about it and then I seen the picture of the 5 cops, I was like, wait, what? They did what? I was so confused. Because it's not what everybody is used to, which is being able to hang it on race, right? It's not that. People are calling out and protesting or screaming, "Where's BLM?" There was justice immediately, right? Now, you have to ask the question that if those 5 cops were Caucasians, would it have been that swift? Right? Who knows? I mean, here's where it gets funky for me. And even way, when all of this when everybody first started I want to say it was before George Floyd, but when all the calls for justice and into police brutality and all that stuff started, every time there would be a cop that didn't shoot somebody that you would think they would have shot if they were black, like dude that had what was it? He had like a hatchet or something and was like running after officers, and they ended up tasing them and getting them, or the shooters that go into places and shoot a bunch of people and they don't kill them on site. Immediately people are like, oh, it's because they're white, because they're white, because they're white. No, that's good policing, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you expect police to act. It's unfortunate to me that in every situation, it seems they only do that when it's a white cat. That is how it seems, right? And I'm a big proponent of perception being reality. So it's hard for me to turn a blind eye and say, no, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. But you keep giving me examples and you keep giving me reasons to say that's the reason. Then what else am I supposed to say, right?
See, for me, I feel like it's the entire police system.
Facts. Regardless of color.
Regardless of color, it is lack of training, lack of preparation for these individuals. It's lack of screenings to make sure these individuals are qualified to be in these positions. It's the police system in general. I mean, when you look at malpracticing of doctors have to go under a board. They have to be reevaluated. They have to have certain things as a doctor, as a nurse, and all that. The police system has none of that. So it doesn't matter if you're black, white, purple, orange, or green. If you're not trained properly and you have no repercussions, you have nothing to reach or a bar or a level. This is how these types of things happen.
Facts.
Regardless of color.
Facts. And I don't even necessarily want to put it on training, because you can be adequately trained and still take it upon yourself to do something you're not supposed to do.
And I mean, not training, but I mean, even follow-up.
Well, I mean, I'm not even saying from what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Because immediately, okay, think about any situation. Think about any situation where an employee was racist at, like, say, Starbucks. That employee said a racial slur. Yeah. What's the first thing that company comes out and says? Our employees will be going through racial sensitivity training. Okay, well, the training that you've been provided obviously it's not all training's issue. It's human error that needs to be accounted for, right?
Human error, and I get what you're saying. Like, it's not the job. But then again, it is the job and the company's job to make sure that all of their employees are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
But they're human beings.
I mean, yes, they're human beings.
I know that the higher ups are at fault no matter what happens for anybody, their subordinates, right? Mm-hmm. But think about it in terms of parenting. You can teach your kid and raise your kid and however, you know what I mean, all the way. But then your kid ends up going out murdering somebody. And then immediately when they look at you and say, you did something, you'd be like, nah, I did not raise that kid that way. So even a police department who has all the training in the world and they vetted these people and they're great people, at the end of the day, humans are humans. Regardless of what they know, have been told or been taught or been trained to do, humans are humans. So,
but now there's one human.
So,
the one human background.
So that's, you talking about what I was talking about?
Yeah, what you sent me.
So yeah, it's beyond tough. It's
when I first seen
unfathomable.
I was pissed on several different levels, like for multiple things. And I think when stuff like this comes out, it has us with mixed emotions. You know what I'm saying? My first mixed emotion is just like, why didn't you just get down? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand people are going to tell me, oh, it still should not lead to this. Yes, it should not lead to a murder, no matter what.
But I agree with
you. But at the same time, we have to learn to stop trying to fight on the side of the road and fight in the courtroom. Right. Because had you just laid down, put your hands behind your back, whatever they're saying to you, if they're being rude, you can take them to court. You can go in front of the judge, but your life and your fate should not be determined on the side of the road at the pitch black darkness where you have nobody but all of these other people besides you.
Now everybody's
going to say, tell your story. You're dead.
Right. Everybody's going to say he was a couple blocks from the house. He was trying to get to the house. But it shouldn't.
it shouldn't take all of that.
And this is why this is such a
and that's why it's like, okay, boom. Now I can see if he did, put his arms behind his back and this still happened. But why are you running? Why are you because as an officer, in their mental and their minds, again, they don't know what's going on in your mind. Their job is to make sure that they make it home alive to their families as much as you want to make it home to your family. So if you're being belligerent and disobedient, they don't understand if you're on drugs or you're trying to kill them. We don't know how many interactions they have where people have tried to kill them. So that's a harsh one. But then it's like, dang, people of our own color are the ones that are killing us. And then that makes it even harder because how do we fight the fight of Black Lives Matters when we're the ones that's killing each other?
That's the thing.
And then he goes to say, boom, 5 of y'all? Did it really take 5 or more of y'all to stop this one man? It didn't. That's overkill. And then to be on the camera bragging about it and talking about how you threw haymakers and all these kinds of things, and this man is still laying on the side on the floor freaking dead, and the ambulance is still nowhere to be found. There's no EMS, there's nobody it's just so many levels of this story that just does not sit right. And the unfortunate part is, if he wouldn't have died, we wouldn't be hearing about this.
Nobody be talking about it at all. They should have better training to recognize, certainly, but there's what training do you do to recognize the signs that one of your officers or 5 of your officers are psychopaths?
And with them beating you, you said you were in that situation before. You can go to court. Right. You're alive to tell your story, although it does not change the situation of what happened. But had you fought it, you wouldn't have been able to go to court. You still couldn't change the situation, and you'd be dead.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, there was even a point, though. There was a point in the video where he was on the ground, and all 5 of them were on top of him. So, at a certain point, keep this in mind, too. You guys know how we do it here at the Good Time Show. We have our opinions, but we're going to go through every single scenario possibility. We're going to talk about it all. So, I don't want you guys to get
we're
confused.
Going to unpack it.
I don't want you to get confused as we're talking about this and playing devil's advocate and being on both sides of the table, because my stance on this is it is 100%. It was uncalled for. It's absolutely there's no reason at all or no justification at all on those cops' behalf. But that being said, we all know the state of our world. We all know the state of the police versus the civilians, and it is. I don't want to say it's a war, but it's a sensitive situation, right?
Yeah.
So I would tell my kids, no matter what, you get pulled over, they want to be aggressive, or you know what I mean? You make it clear that you are not don't be a smart ass, and don't record this and and don't be trying to be chippy, and don't be trying to be smart mouth. Know the law, know what's legal and what's not legal. Yeah, know all that. But when it comes to them giving you some commands and it's starting to get frisky, and you see them getting irritated, and you see that they may become physical at any point in time, lay on the ground, put your hands behind your back, and that's it.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, what you don't understand is when that officer pulls you over, none of your family or friends know what's going on in that situation. So no one knows where you are. No one knows that you're pulled over. But you have these police officers who can do whatever they want to you during that time. And if you don't make it out, it's their word against yours. And they're going to paint you as the crazy, belligerent, high, drunk, whatever, to where in their reports, they're not getting any time for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that thing where you have to play it smart. And I know it's hard, and I know it's easier said than done, because when you're in that situation, it's very hard, and it's very scary, and it's very traumatizing. But I'd rather, and this sounds crazy, I'd rather you be traumatized and able to get therapy and move past it than to be dead.
See, now this is the problem. Mr. Outside said I agree, but I think I'm so traumatized, I'm already amped for it to be a problem. And that's the issue, because especially when you're amped and we're all pissed and amped and all that, right? Now you got a cop, one of them cops shows up to your window, and you're already amped and whatever. Now it's a whose D is bigger, and they're always going to win that battle.
Oh, for sure.
They'll beat the hell out of you, and most of the time they'll get away with it. And that's the biggest problem. That's what y'all don't understand. This lip service you're giving, and you being all egotistical and yelling back and forth, blah, blah, you're not going to win that in that situation. You're not going to win. All these videos you see on TikTok and Instagram about people saying their laws and punking these cops, they got lucky.
Yeah.
They got lucky. Because just like there's young cats out here in the hood ready to risk it all and pop you, there's cops that know they'll get away with it.
Oh yeah.
And they'll pop you.
Exactly. And the thing that I always say is fight it in the courtroom. Because if you're able to live to tell your story, they're going to get justice. And if they don't get justice in the courtroom, trust and believe me, life will serve them justice regardless. Okay.
Right.
Karma will come for them whether you get it in the courtroom or not. But at least you're able to live to tell a day, to tell a story, to prevent it from happening from somebody else, instead of saying, oh yeah, I won this argument on the side of the road. What is that going to do for your family?
Nothing. I punked this cop. Wasn't that cool? B. Riley, I'm going to say B. Riley because I don't know if it's Briley or B. Riley, but I'm going to say B. Riley. Said the cops were 100% wrong, but didn't he resist and run from the police? It doesn't matter.
Apparently, on some of the footage that they were talking, he ran from the police. He reached for their gun. He actually put his hand on one of their guns. This is not on any footage, but this is what the officers were saying in the end when like everybody else kept showing up. They were like, man, he reached for my gun, man. He actually put his hand on my gun. Then he started running, and he was running through houses, and they chased him for like maybe a block and a half or so. So again, you have to understand, coming from an officer's perspective. Think about a parent's perspective, right? If I'm trying to see what you're doing wrong and you hiding and you running, why are you hiding? Right. Now you're making me feel like you're doing something wrong. What are you doing?
So let's address this though as well. So we did talk about that, B, and we agree with you 100%. But it doesn't matter. But listen, you're still alive, though.
Yeah.
Even look, whether you get justice for that or not in the courtroom when you go and whatever, that's not the point. The point is you're alive. You didn't get beat down and murdered on the side of the road, and then they have to have that trial without you.
Join the you could join the StreamYard.
If you join the StreamYard, go to the YouTube and send us your email on the YouTube and we can send you the link. Actually, we got all his information. We could just send him the link. If you do want to join us, you could definitely join us. Anybody else too. If you guys want to join us, go to the YouTube and shoot us your phone number or your email and you can hop on screen with us and we can have this convo.
Actually, I'm going to post. Can I do a comment like that? The StreamYard link as a comment?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think it'll hyperlink.
Yeah, I don't think it'll hyperlink.
But yeah, so the whole running from them and all of that. So what? Like I'm military, right? I know what people get trained for and what they're expected to handle, right? So when I raised my hand and I said I'm going into the military, in that oath, it says that you may give up your life for that, right? So I know what I'm signing up for. When you sign up to be a police officer, you know people are going to run from you. You know people are going to try to fight with you. You know this, and that. Mm-hmm. Nowhere in their training, besides them saying, when you feel for your life, are you allowed to use deadly force, right?
Yeah.
When I was overseas, and I'm military. I was at war. I was in a war zone. And a directive came down that we are not to shoot until shot at. Not somebody pulling a weapon. Not I see a gun. Not I see them pointing a gun at me. You have to hear pow, and they have to be shooting at you. Now, if we can have to abide by that in a war zone, then how is that not the going rate here?
Exactly.
Now, I understand why, because it's completely ridiculous, right? We'd lose way more of our cops on the streets and whatnot if that was the case. But I say that to say, they know what they signed up for, and they're trained or supposedly trained to be able to handle those things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should be on a route if you can't handle a hand-to-hand combat safely without having to shoot somebody or murder somebody.
That is true.
Now,
darn it, if I send it to you, you can't even send it to him.
Email it to me or something. I ain't got my phone up there. That's the unfortunate part, and this isn't even a gun violence case. So, like, I can't even play devil's advocate on the cop's side on this one at all.
No. From
the jump of it all, I feel like my first initial reaction was, damn, we gave him something else.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, racist white folks that always say whatever they say about us, right? And we're out here campaigning for people to treat us differently, for people to stop killing us, and all of those things. Yet here we go.
And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I know he said that the courtroom isn't made for us, but that's not true. You have to get lawyers who care instead of getting court appointments who don't care or have so many caseloads they don't even have the time or don't even know your name because they're smothered with cases. So it's not true that it doesn't work. I've been in a situation, my family was in a situation where this type of thing happened to us and we won in a court of law. We were able to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? So it does happen. They try to share more stories to make us feel that it doesn't happen so that we have that thought process and we have that feeling to say, oh, the court just doesn't work for us, so we're not going to go to court. Actually, it does. And there's a lot of attorneys out there who love working with families for these type of instances and these type of situations, who will do it pro bono and help the families, or just case managers who will help the attorneys organize it. And they're not actually a attorney, but they will help structure the case and tell them what to file, what to say, what to do this, to where the attorney just goes in and presents it. There are so many different things out there, but they lead us with that thought process of, oh, the system doesn't work for us, it's not meant for us, so that we can have that mentality. But again, it goes into being prideful. And I know just because we all are the same color, that doesn't mean that we're all on the same team. And that's why I was also always saying beforehand, for all of the other officers, that these types of things have happened. It's not a color coded thing. It's a right and a wrong. It doesn't matter if we're the same color or different color or whatever the case may be. Right is right and wrong is wrong. They should get the same scrutiny that another cop would get for killing an innocent person. Because why? As a cop, your job is to protect and serve. You failed your job as an officer. Regardless of your color, you failed your job duty. It's like a doctor who the patient dies because they didn't care enough. Okay, it's not to say that you're a racist or you're this. No, you failed your job as a doctor.
Facts.
Your patient died. As a parent, if something happens to your kid, they're on drugs, they're in jail, your job as a parent failed. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say that just because your kids, turn out this way, that means a fail on the parent, because it doesn't technically mean, but it is. Because we're going to look at that as a system. We're going to look at the whole police system as a fail. Does it mean that the police system is a fail? No, it just means that individual did not do their job at living up to the standards. But we have to do something. And I hate when people say defund the police department, because when you say defund the police department, this is why situations like this happen. Why would I go out and risk my life? Most police officers don't even make $30,000 a year.
Yeah, but the defund thing, though, not to cut you off, but I had to look into this a lot too, because I got caught being like, defund the police, and then didn't understand what that actually meant. The defunding of the police doesn't mean take all money out of the police department, stop paying cops. It doesn't mean that. It means some of the resources that they're being given and that is being poured into the police departments aren't being used for their training and this and that. They're just getting all this money. So that money is, I guess, the defund the police thing is to redirect those funds to have organizations that can handle non-violent situations instead of sending cops out, kind of thing. I think if I'm correct, that's what that whole situation was about.
So if it's that case, I thought that the defund policemen pay the officers less.
No.
But
not in my understanding, no, that's not what they meant.
Even in that case, it's like we just have to do more on all levels of policing, because it's failing on every end of the stick. Whether it's 5 officers jumping one innocent man, or if it's a young teen gone missing and the police is not doing their job at researching or finding out the details of kids. It's those little bitty things that it doesn't matter the situation. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter the situation, but in each situation, the police is failing. So we have to come up with a common ground or something to make sure that this does not keep happening.
So to anybody to anyone who thinks it's too general for us to say the police are failing, because there's a lot of good cops out there and a lot of things go right. I don't think it is bad to say the police are failing, because I'm never one to generalize things usually. I hate when whole groups of people are generalized, and it sucks. But if you don't generalize in this scenario, then you're falling under the one bad apple rule, and one bad apple can be cast out and that tree still grows, right?
Okay.
I feel like the way the culture of the police departments in America, it's made this way for people to be able to get away with the things they've been getting away with, and that's what needs to change. It's the culture of what happens as a cop, and the things that back the blue, protect the blue, the thin blue line. Like, this is real. People get away with this kind of stuff. These 5 getting arrested and charged, there's probably thousands of cops right now doing things, murdering somebody that'll never be heard of, will never be on the news, because their family, you know what I mean? Like, think of what they probably do to homeless people. Exactly. Think of how many homeless people they've probably murdered and dumped somewhere and nobody knows.
And just blamed it on them ODing or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm one of the people on this planet that I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what uniform you have on, what job you have. I don't care who you like to have sex with. I don't care about the specifics of your life. I just don't want people killing people and being what they are. Like, just in general, it's a human problem. It's not an African American versus white problem. It's not a cop civilian problem. It's a human error. It's a human problem. Yep. Human beings should not want to treat and be able to carry out acts like those human beings did. Yeah. I might sound like a little sissy or whatever you want to call me for saying that, but am I lying though?
It was definitely overkill. I mean,
literally
100% overkill.
To see
people pulling up, hopping out of the cars and just walking up and kicking this man in the head or stomping on him.
The worst part of it, like I was telling you, the body cam footage, and I'm glad they had that street cam that happened to be right there. We wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't
know anything.
We wouldn't be talking about it. But the body cam footage that I saw, dude, runs away and he's huffing and puffing. Like he just had a hard days, but wiping the sweat off his brow. And I'm okay.
Just kicked another.
So that made me mad. And then the part, like the whole on the ground part, you can barely really tell what's happening. It's not good, but you can tell, it's when they stood him up and like 2 of them would hold him and the other one would basically take a running start and throw everything they had.
Yeah, or when that guy pulled out his baton and was like, "Put your hands behind your back." First of all, how you gonna tell somebody to put their hands behind their back and then beat them with a baton?
Facts.
That's gonna automatically make them cringe or like defend.
And that's what really bothers me about, and not even just this situation. Anytime I see someone get arrested and there's like 3 or 4 cops on top of him, beating him, telling him to put his hands back. Your body naturally, when you're getting punched and kicked and all that, you can't reach your arms back. You have my arms. You have control of me. There's 3, 4, 5 of you here. What do you do? You think I'm really fighting you that much to where I need? And it's ridiculous. Look, if I want to get you on the ground, myself, I'm talking about Cujo speaks. If I myself want to get you on the ground and get your hands behind your back, I know how to do that. I can do that by myself.
Yeah.
I promise you that. I don't need 4 other people. That's me, right? If I was a police officer, I'd be like, no, back up, dog. I got this.
Exactly. Not everybody jump up on him.
I got this because I was trained well. I know how to beat this dude into submission.
So maybe
without beating his life out of him.
Maybe and this is just a suggestion. I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there. Don't fight me. I don't want to tussle. Should our police staff be military trained?
Yes.
Because this is what I feel. Again, I don't want to tussle with anyone. Yeah. I feel that our military is a little more structured and disciplined than I've seen the police departments be.
That's only because we go overseas and fight wars and there is no room for us to be like them. You know what I mean? Like, we have to follow our orders or people die. And we have that in mind, right? Although we're getting shipped over there to kill people. Our folks die when we fall out of line or we do things, that we're not supposed to do. We
and
can
that's
get
why I'm saying, should they be military trained?
Yes,
Because
I mean,
if police officers
if
thought
nothing
about those
else-
things, oh, my partner is going to go to jail if I act out.
Now,
There's repercussion
okay.
on my colleagues.
Now, you saying that talks about something else. There needs to be swift action all the time anytime cops do something like this, and it'll stop happening so often.
That's true.
I talk about consequences a ton, right? And any, you know me well, consequences, no matter what we're talking about, will always be my leading thing.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that works in the world, if you want somebody to act how they're supposed to act or do what they're supposed to do, is swift and constant consequences.
Because if I feel like I saw them get away with it, then I think I'm going to be able to get away with
Everybody, if you can get away with something, you're probably
not gonna
gonna do it, right?
Exactly.
If you've seen people get away with it, you probably might try. You know what I mean?
it. That's true.
But if there's a no nonsense, like you do this and you're done, and that's why most of the time, I mean, yeah, there's people in the military too that obviously they get kicked out because they can't not smoke weed or they can't not do. You got bad apples everywhere.
That's true.
That's why you can't give that excuse. There is no excuse. As soon as something like this happens, everybody immediately goes haywire, trying to find the excuses, trying to find the reasoning. What's the rationale? There isn't one. Sometimes wrong is just wrong, and there's no way around that.
Yeah, that is very true.
That's why I hate the fact that all these things are built into these situations. Well, he should have ran, and he shouldn't have did this. Oh well, and then there's going to be those happy racist folks. Yeah, they got what he deserved. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it causes more divisiveness. It creates more issues. It creates more distrust. Now there's people out protesting, and I'm sure they're tearing stuff up, and now that causes more.
Tearing stuff up for what? It's not going to bring him back, and it's not going to change the
law.
So I did want to give a little bit of a background of who Tyree Nichols was, because I didn't know who he was or any of those things. So I felt that the world should kind of know and be a little bit more aware as well. And as I read this, if you guys are watching on Ustream or Twitch, I'm going to put some pictures up of him as well, just in case no one has seen his face or have heard of him as well on YouTube. Or Instagram. Sorry, we can't share what he looks like, but you guys can more than welcome go over to the YouTube channel. You guys can download the 9397 Network app and watch us there. You guys will be able to watch the same stream as YouTube as well if you guys head over
there you go,
to those sources. Oh, Instagram can y'all can now kind of see. Oh, it did not. Why didn't it it didn't save them as pictures. That's what happened. It's saving them as a
well, I'll read this little tidbit before you do that.
Okay, do that real quick.
So our boy Marcus Devine posted on his Instagram. Turns out Tyree worked at FedEx, and Demetrius Haley, which is one of the officers that murdered him. Demetrius Haley's ex and mother of his child worked at FedEx. Demetrius took a photo of Tyree on the ground and sent it to his ex. All the officers involved went out bad over this man's personal issue. Tyree and his ex had a relationship. That changes everything.
So, which one was that? Demetrius, right? You said? Okay.
That changes.
Plot twist.
Everything.
And that's why you have to be careful with what you're doing as an officer too, because how are you posting these type of pictures or taking pictures like this and not thinking that you're gonna get caught? Because when the report comes out, you have to know that they're going to be all up in your business. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're dumb.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think. I think you were the one that said it too. This ain't the first time. Somebody said it to me. Maybe it was my wife. I don't even know who.
Yeah,
it can't be the first time. You can't do what they did and it be the first time.
Not with that. Woo! It's like, It's a Wednesday. We just got them.
Yeah, like I wonder how, and I really hope, and if anybody's listening to this or comes across this video that has been affected by those officers in the past or any officers in the past and haven't said anything, speak up.
So, with you saying that, that's not the story that I found. You sent me that one, but that's not the one that I found.
Oh,
I
about
found
the what cop?
no, not that one.
There's another part.
It's about the guy Demetrius.
Uh-huh.
He was actually a correctional officer at the Shelby County facility or whatever, and he actually beat up an inmate while he was there very badly, like damaged him, bruised him, and that inmate actually came out and was talking about how he could be dead right now, and he's still doing these same things, and he got a promotion after the beating came out of him. So Demetrius,
so he must not
his first rodeo.
So I know from experience with my wife being a CO that when the use of force happens like that and it's reported and whatever, like there's this whole investigation that happens, and people have to testify, and then they either let you go or you get a slap on the wrist or whatever the case may be. So he obviously got a slap on the wrist or not that crazy of consequences for that beating alone, because they must have found it justified or justified enough.
And
look what happened.
I mean, what happened? So, but that doesn't sit well with his track record. You know what I'm saying? Especially going to court again. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the judge is not gonna overlook those types of things when it's in the case. But I wonder who's gonna go down as the main ringleader. I wonder, would it be that guy Demetrius, because of all of the tie-ins and connections?
I think
this
whoever
case that he has,
I think the ones that are on video striking him the most in the head area. Well, depending on what they say, did they say what specific cause of death was?
I don't think they did.
Okay, so depending on
not that I know of.
What up? Depending on what they say that the cause of death was, I feel like they'll probably break it down and try to figure out who delivered the blows that would end up causing his death. I don't think all 5 of them will get the same sentences, because obviously, some were more brutal than others were. But
yeah,
I mean.
It was a few of them, but going back to this story really quick, before I tell you guys a little bit about Tyree and show you guys his pictures. So the story of let me see, Demetrius. Where did that go? Here we go. Okay, so former police officer Demetrius Haley. 30 years old. The actual, where did it go? Okay, so 5 months prior, or a couple of months prior, the inmate, they said his name was Sledge. I believe that's just his last name, because I'm sure they don't want to say his first name. But he said that could have been me. Ex-inmate Sledge says he said I could be dead. Sledge, who's 34, in a 2016 lawsuit that the ex-Memphis cop, Demetrius Haley, 30 years old, who then worked as a correctional officer, took part in the May 16th, 2015 beatdown inside the Shelby County Divisions of Correction. Sledge says allegations emerged as horrifying video released Friday of the beating of Tyree Nichols, who was pulled over in a traffic stop. Sledge claims in the 2016 lawsuit that same member beat him at the correctional facility the same exact way, and he did a lawsuit. He said him and another officer punched him in the face during a search for a cell phone. According to the court papers, he accused a third guard of slamming him in the face, like to the sink, like they bashed his face on the sink. He said, I had some contraband on me and I was trying to flush it down the toilet, but they didn't follow protocol. And that goes to say, just because I was doing something wrong, don't mean that you you just take it in your own hands
That's the biggest thing.
and go
I hate
haywire
when people
with it.
say that. Well, you should have just Well, sometimes it don't. It's still not. So you're basically saying they should have beat me like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when you say it, like don't say
Exactly. He said I had contraband, but like they still didn't follow protocol. Sledge said that he got an apology from the prison warden, but nothing from Haley, who joined the Memphis Police Department in August of 2020. He said he got a promotion from corrections officer to police officer. He said, I could not believe my eyes. Haley denied in the court papers that he assaulted him. The lawsuit was dismissed after Sledge failed to, provide the court with the requested information and those types of things. But he's been in multiple different occasions where, it's a pattern. A neighbor, Michael Casey, 74, who works with a minister at a church in their nearby area, was stunned that a person, let alone an officer, could do what he saw on TV. He said, I'm shocked. I'm totally shocked. He says, I don't understand what will cause a man to do something like this. He said that he feels that it's definitely a pattern and he's not surprised. So, I mean, this guy, Demetrius,
he's a handful. So
he's the ringleader. So to me, he may go down for getting the most time because of all the connections and everything in the past.
So if any of this is true, and like I said, I'm reading this just a bunch of different places. This one comes from opoyi.com, opoyi.com. I don't even know how to say that. So basically, the rundown of this whole thing is that Tyree supposedly was having an affair with Demetrius's girl, and that they were looking for him already, and they found him, pulled him over. This is saying he ran when he recognized old boy. And he took off.
So he ran because he realized
he recognized old boy and took off.
And I'm sleeping with your girl, so I ran.
That to me, even if it's not true, even if it turns out that was completely false, that storyline makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Way more sense. Because now you got your homeboy who you work with as a cop, right? Found out his girl cheating on him. You know who it is. Let's go get him.
Makes me feel like that's why they called so many officers over, because, hey, I got the dude who's been...
I found him. Let's rough him up. You know what I'm saying? Rough him up a bit. But then crime of passion took it too far. So I wonder if this is true. I wonder if they use that in his defense. Crime of passion.
Yeah, but as a police officer, you shouldn't have a crime of passion.
But you're a human being. So your humanity, when it comes to your defense.
Yeah, but don't they tell you if it's a conflict of interest, like you don't even respond, you let your partner go in? You know what I'm saying? That's like a doctor, okay? Somebody comes in the ER and you find out it's your loved one. You have another doctor operate on them because you recognize
argue,
them.
Though, that they didn't know it was him when they pulled him over.
Yeah, but the fact that he sent that he sent that text to his girlfriend, you knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, you caught yourself up. And then one of the other members, Tadarius Being, 24, he was the president of the Omega Psi Phi Eta Zeta fraternity, Eta Zeta Beta, at the University of Mississippi, and an organization with a scandal-scared past. In his past, in 2019, they had a whole allegations, and he was suspended over a slew of disturbing incidences involving pledges or people looking to join the group, including like at least one of hospitalization, like hazing going wrong. So a lot of these officers should not have been officers. And then it makes me upset that the police chief staff is a woman.
Did you hear what who was it? Some black man, I forget who it was, went on national television, and he's going to say they was out there looking like kids that didn't have or was raised by a single mother. And, you know, kids raised by a single mother tend to go around wild and blah, 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 blah. And that's what you have there by putting a black woman as the chief. I was like,
my goodness,
dog.
No, you didn't.
I literally could not. Like, I looked at my phone and was. Our
That's
world,
ridiculous.
look, the world we live in. If you don't have kids, this world's a little less scary for you.
Yeah.
And I say that because, and you and I have talked about this before. Now more than ever, it is incredibly hard to raise humans and put them out in the world with any kind of expectation of what they should expect. How do you prepare your kids for this world? I don't understand it and can't fathom what's happening most days. So how am I supposed to prepare my kids for this world without putting them in bubble wrap before I send them out the house?
That's true, because this world is crazy. And then going into more of these officers, yeah, they really shouldn't have been officers. That officer being potential newcomers of the fraternity that he was the president over were beaten, and some were forced to chug hot sauce or pour it down their pants to simulate a sexually transmitted disease. In 2018, a 45-year-old man looking to join Omega Psi Phi.
How old?
45-year-old man. Hey,
don't you have to be in college?
He went back.
Oh, he was
college.
back in school.
He was back in school. He was looking to join the fraternity in Brooklyn and had his buttocks and testicles patted between 150 to 200 times as part of a twisted welcoming ritual, which resulted in 2 of the fraternity members being charged with assault and hazing. That's ridiculous.
So I don't even know if you know this about me. I was a fraternity guy.
You got hazed?
I got hazed.
What they do? Glue your butt cheeks together?
No, my booty cheeks was off limits. We didn't have to go through anything super crazy terrible. Like, yeah, we had to do some embarrassing. Like, we had to go around to all the sororities down Frat Row in our underwear and sing Christmas carols. Like, stuff like that. Little embarrassing stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And like mental emotional hazing. We never got physically beat up or like nothing like that. But there's bigger fraternities tend to have that. It's just what happens. It's just the norm. It's just what you have to go through. I went through it. You have to. But there's always somebody.
Some of them is not as bad as the other one.
Because there's always somebody that takes it up to a notch that it doesn't need to go to. And that goes with, with cops too.
And let me keep reading this stuff to y'all, because Memphis, we need to do an audit. We need to audit everybody in Memphis, because these stories is just not
the whole
city.
City.
I don't know how y'all got in these positions, but meanwhile, Memphis Police Chief Karen C.J. Davis, who compared Nichols' killing to the Rodney King beating, was fired from her previous law enforcement job after a botched situation. Davis became the first female police chief in Memphis history in 2021. She was axed from the Atlanta Police Department in 2008 for her alleged involvement in a sex crimes investigation into the husband of an Atlanta police sergeant, according to Atlanta, journalism. 2 detectives accused Davis of telling them not to investigate Terrell Marion Crane, who was married to Sergeant Tanya Crane, after the police department obtained photos of him with underage girls. A federal grand jury later indicted Terrell Crane on child pornography. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of child pornography in 2009. Why are you the chief of Memphis? And you were doing this in 2008 in Atlanta. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
how did y'all get these jobs? Do Indeed really be hiring anybody like that? Because I feel like
it's not like they didn't know. Fault. It's not like they didn't know.
Yeah, I feel like this Indeed fault, because you got to get fingerprinted. Like, this stuff pops up. You have to get background checks. This stuff pops up. Come on. And I'm not saying that as a police chief that she had anything to do, but if you're the chief and you got kicked out of the force in 2008 for telling people not to investigate crimes, you know what I'm saying, on your workforce, imagine how your now employees are looking at you like, oh, she was already doing some shady stuff, so now we don't have to abide by the rules because she's already shady, so she's gonna let us get away with shady stuff.
Now let me ask this. I wonder what did the police chief of Memphis before her retire, or was that person vacated of their seat? And were they worse than somebody who told somebody not to investigate something 13. Wait, what's it? 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So was that 15 years ago?
Yeah.
It's probably one of those like statute of limitations things where like that came off her record and they don't until this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so part of this that I was mad about because I saw something earlier today about a Caucasian police officer also being involved, and so immediately I did the true Negro thing to do, and I was like, "Oh, see, I told you. See, I knew it. But turns out, according to theweek.com, a 6th police officer in Memphis, Tennessee, was relieved of his duties in connection with the January 7th beating of Tyree Nichols. Spokesperson for the Memphis police told the Commercial Appeal that the officer Preston Hemphill was placed on leave. They said he was placed on leave when the investigation first started, which is weird to me because if that was the case, why is he not in the news with everybody else? If he was put on,
his name?
Excuse me, Hemphill. Where'd his first name go? Preston Hemphill. So according to the thing I saw earlier,
he's Caucasian. That's why.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. That's why I said. But he admitted to tasing him, so he did tase him, and then I guess he's heard on tape saying, "I hope they stomp him."
Okay, Preston.
Yeah. So, but just right there, like.
Okay, Pressy Press.
I don't understand when. I know this is never going to stop. Okay.
And for those of you who are watching on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, if y'all have not seen him, this is him. If they have not showed you all his picture, this is the 6th man.
They're going to eat him up in jail if they arrest him. I hope they arrest him.
Why? Because he big.
But yeah, of course, I was like, oh, of course. And then I went down a rabbit hole in my own brain and I turned it into all of these things, right? And then I got to thinking, he was at the first scene, right? When they initially pulled him over.
Oh yeah, he didn't
when
run.
When he initially was feeling, when they were, whatever the case was,
yeah.
He tases him, boom, they're beating him down, and then I guess he books it and old boy stayed. So
you thought he was gonna run?
No, absolutely not. But when I figured out that he was at the first one, I was like, okay, so they did the right thing, I think, by putting him on leave. I think at the time, I'll agree that they shouldn't fire him or charge him with murder yet. I will say if the tasing of Tyree ends up being part of the reason why he died, then immediately, once that autopsy comes out, if it hasn't already, which it should have already come out, right? I just haven't seen the results of it.
I don't know if it came out yet.
Because that happened on the 7th, so I guarantee they did the autopsy already, or they should have. Isn't his funeral Wednesday or something?
I don't know. But did you know? Well, you didn't know that I didn't know.
Did you know that I didn't know that?
I did not know that you have to pay for an autism. I mean, an autopsy. Sorry. A lot going on in my brain.
Oh,
I didn't know you had to pay for it.
Who does?
The family. If you want an autopsy, that costs.
Doesn't the police department
No.
automatically? So wait.
And it could depend on the situation of
It's
who's
got
going to
to.
cover it. Like if you just find someone dead. Okay, so, and the reason why I say this is because somebody I know, they found somebody they knew dead.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to find out how he died, they had to pay for the autopsy. It was like $5,000 that they had to pay for.
But was it foul play type thing, or they were just dead?
They were found dead in their home.
Okay.
So they were trying to figure out why. So I believe if it's like a foul play.
If there is no case,
right.
Like if they're not going to, because I would assume if they're investigating, they have to.
This is the thing also. The reason why in investigations they cover it is because whoever's investigating, that's still going to get tacked into the charge. So like if your family member dies, you have to pay for that autopsy. In these cases, they're automatically going to do one so they can find out.
And then they're going to send you the bill?
And then somebody's going to cover the bill. So the lawsuit that the families they put those bills in the lawsuit
So
to
wait.
get it covered back.
So can I opt to do it myself then? If you're gonna charge me for it, let me
No,
do
you
it.
can't. How you gonna do autopsy yourself?
Because if you're gonna charge me for it, I'd rather go the other route. I'll do it. I don't watch enough NCIS. I don't watch enough Criminal Minds. Ducky from NCIS done taught me how to do all I need to do.
Well, you have to pay for
Cut
an
him open in the
autopsy.
white, and
Let's
then
see,
look and see what's wrong.
that's me gonna tell y'all about
That's a shame. That is an absolute shame. I understand that the people doing the autopsies and all, I got to get paid, but can't you find the money somewhere else than making the family of someone who just was?
Okay, so in the case of suspicious or sudden death, an autopsy may be required by law. There is no charge for families for an autopsy if it's suspicious or
Right,
sudden
if it's
death.
required by law.
If it's required by law.
But if
if
they
it's
just
not required by law, then you have to
no,
pay
okay.
for it.
Well, I mean that makes sense. Because why would you autopsy someone who they don't need to find out why he died? Oh, he died. Like,
But I mean, don't everybody want to know how everybody dies?
I mean, not if it costs 5 G's.
You did.
I'm
hey,
sorry.
what we need
Look,
to know? He gone.
Listen, if your life is expired and you're looking for me to avenge you, then make sure you put 5 G's away. In the event that they don't see it necessary to autopsy you. That's ridiculous.
I know. So for Tyree, an independent autopsy completed by a forensics pathologist hired by the family's attorney found that Nicholas suffered from extensive bleeding caused by a severe beating. So his death came from the beating.
So I don't think that cop will get charged.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, does he deserve to get charged? What do you think?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're accessory to a crime. If I go with somebody and they break in and they do something wrong, if I'm on that scene, I am accessory.
He wasn't on that scene though.
But you
Which
were
scene
on
are
the
you talking
initial,
about?
But you were on the initial
But
scene.
what did he do wrong on the initial scene?
He tased
Tasing
him.
somebody's doesn't mean they're gonna die.
But
He
why
didn't
did you
kill him
tase him?
because he was resisting and he was doing his job.
No, everybody who was there.
Now,
because if think about it in another term, everybody going down. It don't matter. Why were you on the scene? Did you report this or did you report that?
I don't know.
It depends on his report.
I hate
report?
I hate to be on his side.
What he put in his report?
And this is just with the limited knowledge that I have. Let me say this as well. The limited knowledge that I have, it seems to me what happened is they come on scene. He comes on scene. He sees his cohorts struggling. Get down. I think in the video he said, "I'm gonna tase you. I'm gonna tase you. I'm gonna tase him," and he tases him. Like you see that happen all the time, right? That happens all the time, and nobody dies in those situations. It's now when he gets up and books it. Now that one scene is one scene, and nobody died there. Nobody was brutally beaten there. Nobody lost their lives from what happened at that scene. Now he takes off, goes to the next location. That's when all that happens. So imagine you're with your homegirl, right? Y'all go out for the night. Y'all go to the bar. Boom. You at the bar with her. She leaves the bar, goes across the street to the gas station and robs the gas station. Are you liable because you were with her at the first location?
No, I'm not. But the people are going to try to make it. Like the courts may try to make it like I am.
I guarantee you that. So in this situation, though, and like I said, I wish I could be one of those people like, oh, all of them need to go to jail. Whoever was breathed in that vicinity, lock them up. But I don't know if that would be necessarily fair. I'm a proponent for the system and life in general working how it should work, right? I think in this situation, we shouldn't be wishing and hoping that things worked a certain way when it comes to policing and civilians and people not dying. There shouldn't be guesswork to be had. It should be people stop being idiotic and stop being threats to police lives. Police stop killing people on the streets. Like,
that's true.
I mean, it's to me, it's that simple. I mean, everybody talks about reform. I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say anymore.
Okay, so since we don't know what to say, I'm gonna give you guys a little 411 on Tyree. Okay, so
She done made a whole presentation, y'all. Hold on.
I did. Yeah, it's on an angle, but they can see it. It's a little bit better. They can see it. Okay, so for those of you, wait. they not gonna see this because I'm about to go to a different screen.
Oh Lord.
I'm reading my
All right,
teleprompter.
y'all. Y'all
Okay.
want to see the presentation?
You got to go over to the YouTube. So, Tyree Nichols, the man whose death this month at the hands of Memphis police led to the dismissal of 5 officers. He loved to photograph sunsets and to skateboard, a passion he'd had since he was a little boy. Mr. Nichols, who was 29 years old, who worked for FedEx and had a 4-year-old son, was too old to be skateboarding anymore, said his stepfather, Rodney Wells. He said, "You've got to put that skateboard down," Mr. Wells remember telling Mr. Nichols not too long before he died. "You've got a full-time job now." Mr. Nichols had been working for FedEx, a major employee and corporate presence in Memphis, for about 9 months. He worked the second shift and would return to his mother's house every evening around 7 o'clock p.m. for his lunch break. His mother, Rovong Wells, I think that's how you say her name, said that Mr. Nichols had her name tattooed on his arm. She said, "That made me proud." She said, "Most kids don't put their mom's name. My son was a beautiful soul." According to the family's lawyers, Mr. Nichols told the police officers during the January 7th encounter that he just wanted to go home. And in what the lawyers believe were his final words, he called out his mother. Her house was about 100 yards from where he was beaten, says the lawyers. So just to give you guys a little bit of 411 about who he was as a person, because not a lot of us knew, but he loves, skateboarding, sunsets, and he worked at FedEx, and he was, an average citizen. And those are the things that we don't look at when these type of situations happen. We look at who we think that person is, but that could be anyone. That could be your mom, your cousin, your neighbor, someone that you know on Facebook or TikTok or social media. Like, these things should not be happening to anyone. I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, orange, green, purple, green, blue. No one should have to die at the hands of police officers on the side of the road in the middle of the night. No one should sustain these type of beatings or any of these types of things, because it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And regardless how people want to look at it, everyone's lives in this situation is changed forever. Tyree's parents' lives are changed forever. The officers' lives are changed forever. Their families' lives are changed forever. Our lives are changed forever. And it's nothing we can do to get him back. I mean, when you think about the officers, think about if they're married with kids. Who thinks that their husband would do something like this? Or now you have to go through this, and now your children have to go to school and be tormented because their fathers were the ones that was seen on TV killing another one of them. So now your children and your family are getting death threats and all these kinds. It's a lose-lose situation all the way around, which is why it needs to stop. Right. Because again, no matter what color they were, these things would still happen in each situation. Even if this was white on white and blue on blue and green on green and orange on orange, there's still families going to be involved. There's still families that's going to be hurt and that's going to be hit with the repercussions of their actions. Yep. And that's not fair.
It sucks. Everything about it sucks. There's no rhyme to it, no reason, no. It just makes me sad. I have so much. It makes me so bad I got to do this all the time. But
I know.
Especially at a time when in my life I have so much positivity. I have so much hope. I have so much.
We got so much love to give.
Yeah, like my life and specifically my life and my circle, there's so much good happening and so much traction forward, right? And then you have situations like this happen that make you look at the world a completely different way. And it's like, what's it worth working this hard if I can just be chopped down, on the side of the road? And I don't know if we've said this yet, but to the point of, I do believe you should overly cooperate just to save your own life. Let me say that. But I agree that it doesn't matter sometimes. Whether you're laying on the ground with your hands behind your back, they can still hop on you and say, "Give me your hands." You're like, "Hey, you got my hands." I'm like, "Give me your hands." As long as they're covered up. So that does happen. I agree with you.
It does.
And at that point, I'm sad to say you're at the mercy of whoever your creator is, because you can't do much about it. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
This is one of those things where people overlook a lot of things in life. Like when I say a lot of things in life, okay, so this is what I want to say to y'all, okay? My family, we have a family attorney on standby, which I think every family should. You know what I'm saying? But
they're mine too.
Absolutely, of course. And if you have a circle of family attorneys, have them on speed dial. You know what I'm saying? But I say that to say people will be so infatuated with buying Gucci slides and Balenciaga this and Yeezys this. And I'm not saying that these things are not important, but we won't make sure that we have life insurance. We won't make sure that we have a lawyer on standby. The same fees that you're paying to go to Cabo or Dominican Republic, you can be paying half of that and still have an attorney on standby. Because if anything like this happens, as soon as you get pulled over, you call your attorney and you put them on speaker, because at least your attorney can hear everything on record, and that protects you, because that phone call will be recorded under the oath of your attorney, and you can use that in a court of law. So if you are obliging and the cops are still being rude or whatever the case may be, your attorney can say, no, I heard that my client was being cooperative, and the cops continue to do this and continue to do that. Right. But those are the things that people don't think about when these type of situations happen. We have to gear up and get smarter. Okay. We have to protect ourselves by any means necessary, but still make it off the side of the road, because in these situations, it's the cop's word against nobody. Fact. Because he's not here to tell, oh, I noticed him and this is what was going on, or I ran because of this or because of that. And one thing that I can also say is those dash cams and those body cams are fickle, because why is it only showing this part, that part, that part? Y'all want to say y'all release them uneditedly, and that's a false, and that's a lie. Even if it is unedited, they know they're wearing those things and they know what they catch, so they move and do what they got to do. And that's what I'm saying. So they know how to finagle the body cams, but still, it's not a clear footage from beginning to end of one officer's body cam. No. It's different clippings of different officers. That's why I said if they didn't have that street cam. Exactly. They didn't have that street cam of all of them right there, they'd be hit. Yeah. So it's like that thing of they know what they're doing. Because at one point in one of the video footages, I don't even know which one, they set their body cam down where it was standing at the ceiling, and they picked it back up and did this. So it's like it had to be edited. It wasn't raw, So it's just like we have to be smarter, and we have to think harder. Even if you're not calling, your attorney on standby, call 911. Call somebody. Call 911 and put it on speaker. Hey, I'm getting pulled over. Don't call your friend. Don't call your mama. Call somebody of an authoritative. A therapist. Call somebody who's gonna have to get subpoenaed if something goes bad, that will be reputable, right? Yes. Like I've been watching a show. I forget what it's called, but it's basically about how I caught my own killer kind of thing. Oh, and the thing, yeah. So I saw that. I guess my newest piece of advice to people is, in those situations, make sure they don't get away with it. And by that, I mean, make sure you are doing everything in compliance, right? So they can't use that as an excuse. Have an attorney on the phone, or set up your camera in your car, have a GoPro in your car, or turn your camera on when you get pulled over. Then that's still risky too, because then they can destroy that footage. Not if you're live. Yeah, but what's the chances of you being live? If I'm getting pulled over, you got a lot of time between the time you get flicked and the time they get to your car. That's true. Put it on live. Sit it in your car and put it on live. Because I say call 911. So now here's why though. You know how I talk about consequences all the time? If that cop knows that they're being watched, if they know truly they're being watched, and you're doing nothing but super complying with everything, and you're being yes sir, no sir, yes sir, this, that, the other, and you do all of that, then they know that the footage is there of you doing everything you're supposed to, and if they step out of line, they're in trouble, right? Exactly. In a situation like this at night, there's 5 of them,
finagling their body cams. They didn't know that street camera was there, and I guarantee you, if they did,
No.
they would have dragged his ass somewhere else. If they knew that was there.
I feel like definitely wouldn't have been
No.
rallying up like
It
that
wouldn't.
had they known that.
At the end of the day, it is
It's
sadly,
yeah.
this is something we're going to talk about in a month, 2 months, 3 months, hopefully longer than that from now. It'll happen. Didn't somebody else just pass not long ago from cops?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like a George Floyd-esque situation too.
It probably was. I mean, and George Floyd wasn't that long ago either, was it?
No, that was 2020, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was during COVID. That was 2020. That was 2 years ago.
George Floyd, yeah, 2020, yeah, 2 years ago.
Natalia Jade, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, at this point, listen, we can say everything we say till we're blue in the face. The point to it is you gotta stay alive, and I know sometimes that's out of your control when it comes to these situations, but like I always say, as long as you yourself have done everything you can do within your power, then that's all you can do. But you have to do everything in your power to protect yourself. Unfortunately, this world is
You gotta
dog
stay
eat
alive.
dog.
What's that song?
Exactly.
Staying alive, staying alive. Like we have to. I mean, okay. Think about it in this instance, right? And a lot of people may not understand this analogy, so I'm going to use two different analogies to where hopefully both sides of the story get where I'm coming from, right? Imagine example A, you're in the hood rocking some Jordans and boom, you minding your business. Example B, you're at lunch and you're eating your lunch and you minding your business. In both examples, the bully comes up to you, give me your lunch, give me your sneakers. What do? You give him your sneakers and you give him your lunch so you can just go about your day and mind your business, stay alive with no beating up, and go back to probably report it, go tell somebody, or, gear up to handle this the right way. Same thing with the police. If they pull you over and they say, give me your license, your registration, get out the car, you do
Yes,
just
sir.
that so that you can make it out alive. I don't know too many people who's going to stand up to a bully and be like, without a plan, who just say, oh, I'm just going to willy-nilly just punch you in the face. Like, no, you're not going to do that. So don't do that in this instance either, unless you have a plan to, I'm going to sue them. I'm going to take them to court. I'm going to use this footage. I'm going to use this because there's Sandra Bland. Didn't even make it to the booking room.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is some situations where you do comply and those types of things still happen. But it's still also ways that you can still fight it. And I'm not saying that if you do one or the other, you're more righteous or you're more wrong, because it does happen. But we have to be smarter on all cases.
Put it this way. If you 100% comply and you're not in any way like nothing at all to make them even think you're trying to do something, there's a good chance, I say 80% chance you're getting out of that clean. You ain't gonna die. If you start being lippy or hop out or try to fight them or there's an 80% chance you either getting beat to death, shot, mangled, and let's say 90% of the time you're not going to get justice.
Yeah,
they're going to get let go and you're just going to be beat up.
Yeah.
So I like to pick my battles every time I've been pulled over recent. Now there was one time where I almost lost it last year. Remember my kept getting pulled over.
Yeah.
I got pulled over by a young black cop right in front of my house, like as I'm about to turn into my driveway. And those of you who heard this last year, yes, I'm telling that story again. He pulled me over for not using a left turn signal onto my street, which is deep into a subdivision, and it was at night, so there's no cars around. I didn't even see this cop. He must have been parked on the street with his lights off, which is also entrapment, right? Aren't they not allowed to do that?
I didn't think that were.
So that's neither here nor there. So he pulls me over, and I'm instantly like confused, like, huh? What's my house is right there. Okay. So he's, well, you didn't use your turn signal. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, dude, my house is right here. It's never mind. License registration. Okay, officer. I get I get my stuff, and I didn't have my light or my registration. Not registration. I didn't have my proof of insurance in the car.
Don't you love
Which
that?
legally you don't have to. Well, I guess legally they tell you to have your proof, but when they run your plate, they can see your insurance. So you know if I have insurance or not when you run my plate. So you technically didn't need that anyway, right? So now at this point, I'm like, officer, my kids are in the car. My wife's right there. I got babies. Like, my driveway is right here. Wouldn't even let me pull in my driveway. Like, this is uncalled for. And I could have got heated, but luckily I decided to stay calm because my kids were in the car, and I wanted to be the example on how you properly. Now, the next night when I picked them up from work, the same exact thing happened, but I wasn't at home. I had just left their place of employment. Now, it's on a one-way main road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to turn left out of this gas station. So I turn, and the guy gets behind me, rides behind me for a while. He pulls me over. You didn't use your turn signal leaving the parking lot. Dog, it's a one-way. I was like, is this something new, like a new initiative? Y'all are pulling people over for something like this? Because I just got pulled over last night, and I started to get pissed.
Yeah.
Again, all my kids were in the car, and I was rightfully pissed for sure, and being a veteran and all this other kind of stuff. So me, getting kind of lippy and off the top, I was wrong. Because had he decided, or if he was an egotistical cop or a cop that didn't like military guys, Big Brother Jake, what's up, my brother? Then I would have been hit. I would have been a statistic, and my kids would have watched me die on the side of the road.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not caring about who's in the car with you when those type of situations happen.
I've seen cops kill people when their babies are in the car.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Saw that with Philando.
Exactly. So, I mean, bottom line is, I understand knowing your rights. I understand. I fought for your rights. I went overseas, and I almost lost my life for your rights. So trust me, I know very well what your rights are. But your right to live comes first.
Yes.
Right? So understanding your rights and wanting to stand up to cops that are doing the wrong thing, I understand that. But there's a safer way for us to do it. I don't want to see 100%. You die for the sake of telling some cop off, because what is that going to do? That's not going to do. That won't change a thing.
Not one thing.
Not one. So,
and there's a development in the story as well. If you guys are watching again on Ustream or YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or Facebook, wherever, 3 Memphis fire employees are terminated in Tyrese Nichols' investigation because it says that they failed. They're first responders, and they failed to do their job getting there. So 2 EMTs and a lieutenant with the Memphis Fire Department have been terminated for violating policy and protocol in their response to Tyrese Nichols on January the 7th. EMT, sorry, I was taking the picture off. EMT Basic Robert Long and EMT Advanced Jamichael Sandrick and LT Michelle Whitaker failed to make an adequate assessment of the patient when they arrived on the scene, the fire department says. First responders company says that the dispatch to a pepper spray call at 8:32, and they arrived at 8:36 and were directed by police. Ross and Casta, another officer. They made it to the second scene and found Nichols handcuffed and on the ground and leaning against a police vehicle at 8:41. The lieutenant remained inside the truck while the 2 EMTs responded based on the information they've been giving about a pepper spray incident. They requested an ambulance at 8:46, and that ambulance arrived in 9 minutes. Nicholas was taken to the hospital at 9:08. Nicholas died in the hospital 3 days later, but the video released and all those kinds of things. But basically, they're saying that the they didn't do an assessment, which I thought was weird on the video too, because I did not see them looking at him and checking his body.
Wait. Did the paramedics pull up in an Uber or something? Why'd they have to request ambulance? What did they show up in their civilian cars?
I don't know.
Everything about this, like, and here's the crazy thing, and what really has me spinning as we're talking about this, because like you said, if there wasn't that camera, we wouldn't even heard about this, right? How many stories like this are one happening right now as we speak, and we'll never hear about it, or two, families are reliving the trauma of their child never getting justice or their names or stories being heard.
Mm-hmm. That's the sad part.
It's happening. I guarantee you it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
They said the EMT is supposed to perform an initial patient survey. They should provide emergency care through careful assessment of the patient and shall recognize injuries and all illnesses once they arrive on the scene. They didn't do that.
Didn't do any of that.
Nope. They said that they spoke to a retired Memphis firefighter who states what they, would do in those type of scenes. And they should have checked his blood pressure, gave him oxygen, started an IV, gave him a Band-Aid to stop the bleeding, and all those kinds of things. Which, again, I didn't see them do any of that. They just left him dangling on the side of the road.
Oh, yeah, that's uncalled for, because he was, if you've seen the pictures of him in the hospital, they obviously saw that he was beat to hell.
Thank you.
They didn't even do much as to like take a little.
All they did was lean Nicholas over, and they checked his pockets and removed his wallet. In the video, you can hear the officers discussing what was found, as he's laying in pain and looking for their glasses that they lost during the beating. Like, they're looking for their stuff.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
He's been kicked, he's been punched, he's been hit with police sticks, he's been in handcuffs, he's moaning on the ground, and everyone is walking around like it's a business usual casual day. Like, nobody did anything. Nobody gave him first aid. Nothing. They just left him brutalized on the side of the road. So, yeah, those EMTs should be fired because you didn't do your job. Again, you failed to do your job.
Yeah.
You failed.
I would have to
It's
agree
nobody
with
else's
that.
fault. And then, like you said, it's bringing up the traumas of everyone else, because Rodney King's daughter says that, she has a heartbreak, but she said, like, his family can't prepare for what's about to come.
Yeah.
And that goes on even to his son.
Didn't Rodney King's officers all got off, right? None of them got charged with anything.
Yeah, I think they did get off. That's why
I don't see that. I don't see that happening here by any means.
They're going to make an example out of them. And that's another thing that with the law, I dislike how the law separates who they want to make an example out of and who they do not. When it comes to females and blacks, with the law, they want to make examples. Even when you think back to, I cannot think of her name, but the officer who walked into the wrong apartment and she shot the guy. Although she was wrong, absolutely, but because she was a female, they gave her like the max. Like, they did not show any, lightness on her. But then Breonna Taylor's, killers are still. There's still no justice because they were what? They were men. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then you look in this situation, and then it's all 5, black men. And not saying that they were wrong 100%, but they're fired immediately. Charges brought up immediately. Right. And we still have not gotten justice for Breonna Taylor. So it's two-sided, and it has to change because it's not fair.
Yeah. And it sucks that it's funny too, that when you say that we were making an example of them, how many times do examples get made until it's common practice?
Exactly.
Right? Like, if you go to Costco and you go to the sample table and it's the same sample every time, you're going to stop going to that sample table, right? They're making an example of what? For what?
Yeah.
An example gets made, and then it's common practice, and everybody knows it after that, right? So wasn't there a first example that was supposed to be made a long time ago? And now this is just like, there shouldn't be a questioning or a guessing game with the age of cameras and videos of the.
Man.
If I see it on the video, it happened.
They are charging them with kidnap. kidnap is one of the charges. That's crazy. I've never saw an officer who was pulling someone over on the side of the road be charged with kidnap as a charge. Now, whether it sticks or not, but I'm just saying.
Here's the buffoonery about how the justice system works, though. They give them a myriad of charges, right?
And they only gonna get caught on one.
Not even just that they're going to get caught on one. There's if they have a good defense attorney, he'll find a way to position them to where they can take a plea for one of the lesser charges.
Unfortunately,
does the family have the right to? They don't even have the right to say they don't agree with a plea being offered, right? Like it's not up to them.
I don't know, or I don't know if that's up to the prosecutors. I don't know how that judicial.
I would assume. I would think that you would have to clear it with the family that you represent. Well, I guess you represent the state.
No, but
though, right?
I guess you're representing the state, and I don't think that they have to clear it because if that's the case, most families would say no.
I would think so.
To those things, which is why some of the families are so like, oh my goodness, at the charges because it's a shock to them as well because you can't share if someone's going to do a plea deal or not. That's confidential.
Oh, that's the thought process I had on the way in that I wanted to make sure I said. What sucks in these times is that no matter if things were done right on the behalf of their charges and firing, there's always going to be something somebody scrutinizes, just like us being like, well, because it's 5 black people now, instead of being like, good. The justice system worked this time and they got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sucks because it's just the way the pieces are laid out. You have to kind of, you have to have that thought process of, oh, well, if it was, but I want everybody to take a minute though in this situation and be thankful that swift action did happen, regardless of if it was white men, black men, whatever the case may be. Tyree's family deserved to have these people arrested and charged. Now, when it comes to them bonding out, I think that was preposterous. I seen somebody arguing on a comment thread the other day. You sound stupid. Everybody deserves a bond. No, nobody deserves a bond in a murder case. I don't think. If it's clear, if you got footage, if there's footage of you involved in something that caused somebody's murder, I don't care how much money you have or don't have or what I'm a flight risk. You think if they arrest me for murder and they let me bond out and I know I did it, you think I ain't gonna try to go somewhere? I'm out.
Adios, amigos.
I'm out. I'm not no national, international criminal. So I know you don't got me on no bolo or no fly list. I know you ain't got me on no. You know what I'm saying? You didn't spend the resources to put my name and picture on no list to do. I'm going straight to the airport.
Guatemala, here I come.
Look, send me somewhere that doesn't have extradition.
But you know what's sad? And I just had to look this up because I said her name and it just made me curious about the case. So one of the officers, out of the 4 officers who were charged in Breonna Taylor's death, there was only one officer to face charges in the raid.
You about to say what I think you're gonna say and make me mad all over again. What his charges were?
Yeah. He was indicted on a charge of endangerment to the neighbors whose apartment was hit when he fired without a clear shot into Mrs. Taylor's apartment, but he pled not guilty and was acquitted.
It wasn't danger to the neighbor, the human. It was danger to the neighbor's apartment.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The property.
Endangerment of
not
neighbors
a person
whose apartment.
I don't think it was the endangerment of the person.
Oh, it's just the apartment.
It was just the property. So he got a charge for damaging property, not killing somebody.
And none of them went to jail.
Do you see why we didn't want to talk about this stuff, man? Like,
it's a rabbit hole.
This is typically such a fun show.
It's not an end. It's not.
But I felt like we had a responsibility to talk about this. I feel like we wouldn't be doing our job as media or as radio personalities or as humans if we didn't take the time that he deserved. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I think and I know that there's nothing we can do about bad people. My fix to the world has always been each one teach one, and parents got to do a better job. Those 5 people are somebody's kids, and I'm not saying it's their parents' fault necessarily, but I know I'm the way I am because of what my mother instilled in me, and I may not agree with her all the time. I may not like what she has to say all the time, but she didn't make me a murderous, no good, jump somebody with 4 other people and murder them kind of guy. I could say that. So she did something right.
We have to take it back to Maya Angelou, right? When people show you who they are, believe them. These officers have been showing signs of abusing their power since they were in high school, since they were in college, and we allowed them to continue to be officers and protect people. So where they're supposed to be protecting us, they're using their powers to install fear and bad behavior. So again, we have to do better as a system, an overall system, a branch of really paying attention to who we're hiring. I know each company and each business is hurting right now, so we're hiring whoever we can get. We're making janitors become teachers. We're making nurse assistants become really just nurses and doctors at this point because we're low staff. We have people working in positions that should not be because why? The world cannot find workers because they gave out too much money, dummies. But we have to do better. We can't just keep allowing any and everybody in because we're feeling that we're so in crunch and in need that we're endangering everyone's safety.
Yeah.
Even when you think about the military, at one point in time, we had way too many people who were just young and not ready for the military. Join the military just because why? We say we're going to pay for your college tuition and set you up with some money. So you had everybody and their mamas and daddies wanting to join the army.
You don't know what's hilarious about that? About just anybody being in the military too?
What?
Do you know that it used to be a choice, jail or the military?
Yeah, I remember that.
So imagine the kind of people we had. I mean, even when I was in, there was people that I was like, yo, like
and it's
a couple of them went to jail while I was in. Like I had to go transport my homeboy from jail to his appointments and stuff. Like it's everywhere. But in the military, you do the littlest thing, you hit. It's over with.
It's terrible.
You done. No, it's not terrible. No, it's a good thing.
I mean, yeah,
like you get caught you get a DUI. You gotta do this. You're in so much trouble. You step out of line at all.
And I feel like that's why I raised the question: should our police be military trained?
If you show up to work with a wrinkled uniform, you getting paperwork.
You know how many officers probably get DUIs all the time, but they got their homeboys that's writing it off. They got their homeboys that's writing up the story for them. Like
I don't even know if necessarily they need to get military training, but I think the whole structure of the police force should be structured more like military.
Yeah.
As far as like. Just the discipline that we were instilled with, and
just gonna give one more praise to Tyree. Rest in peace,
man.
May your name change some things in our systems, in our world.
Who knows what he could have done?
May you encourage another one to go into the law and fight it the righteous way and do what should be done.
Yeah.
May we be able to change some things and be a better world because it's a scary time, but change, we got to do something because we have too many people dying by those that they love or that should be protecting them, whether it's the police officers, family members, cousins, friends, whatever. We have too many people who are being hurt by those who they've trusted.
Facts. So, it's been a long.
I know. So we got to do better.
What
we do wrong? What we do wrong?
But I know.
Well, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk.
Yeah.
You got to come in and talk.
Come on, man.
He wait till we
y'all
got
ain't
10
seen
minutes
this
to make
face in a while.
10 minutes to make a comment.
It's just a slight comment. I wanted to say about the training. That's what's so crazy about some of the people that be out here saying defund the police. Because if you put it in a different perspective and you say these struggling parents are bad parents, let's defund them. You would want to give them more funding so they can be better parents because you see that they're obviously struggling. So if you defund a program that's already low funding and you see the result of low funding, how about you try to allocate more funding to give them better training? That will help solve a problem. And also, when it comes to the training for when it comes to the training aspect, you see state police, they have military background.
Mm-hmm.
City police don't. That has always been the biggest discrepancy, is because you have state troopers that get trained away, and then you have your individual departments training kids a different way. So
it's funny you say that, because I don't think I've ever seen a state boy in any of these, in anything like this.
You don't get me wrong, it happens.
Yeah,
but
of course,
state
they
boys,
got the budget.
State boys, they handle by the book, and when you start saying,
but the scrutiny level of being a state trooper is way
that's
more
it, the accountability
than just
level.
Being and that's what we were saying. We believe all officers should have that type of training umbrella, because then these types of things wouldn't happen, because that officer had things in his past where he was beating up
between them two, though.
The relationship.
Now I hope that's a rumor.
I hope it is.
With the ex and all that stuff.
But that officer also was a correctional officer and was
he had a case on him already.
He was beating inmates and all those kinds. But as a state boy, you can't have any of that on your record, because it's looked at as bad, which is, it should be like that on every level.
So now, but on the training front, right? Like you're talking about defunding and all that, whatever. I don't think that's the issue at all. Like, I don't think they're like, everybody goes to training. I said this earlier in the show, how that's the first thing these companies will say. Well, they're going to get more training. Okay, so what you're telling me is you're sending inadequately trained people out to your admission by saying you need more training, whatever. I don't think more money needs to be given to these police departments so that they can get better training. I think that they need to be holding people accountable that aren't doing their jobs the way they've been trained to do. Because I know personally, my wife is a CO. I know a lot of people who've been police officers. My father was a police officer. My stepdad was a police officer. So it's not a lack of training. That's just the easiest thing for somebody in PR at a place to go to. Yeah. It's not at all. I don't think it's a lack of money. It's not a lack of training. They spend money on top of the line weapons. So you mean to tell me you're taking the money away from, maybe it's allocation. It's the allocation of each department of where they're putting their money at. Because
in some departments, because there's a couple departments that are still running bump stocks. And if you're running a bump stock,
what's a bump stock?
It's the thing that you put into your shoulder in layman's terms.
You put what to your shoulder?
The end of the long rifle, you put it into your shoulder.
That's a gun.
Okay,
it's the.
Let me task you with this. I want to see I'll just say 5, right? Go to 5 departments where cases like this have happened, and then see if they're an underfunded department. Because I guarantee you, some of these departments, like Memphis, they're not underfunded at the department in Memphis. They got enough money to train their people. They do. If it was some little podunk town that had a 10-person police force, and then they were doing stuff like that, I would say, maybe they're not equipped to handle this kind of thing. They probably weren't trained well. But in these cities where this stuff is happening, I can't see training even being the issue at all.
I feel like it's a cluster. I feel like in some situations, it has nothing to do with training. You're right. Some situations, it's just a bad apple. And then in another situation, it could be because that department didn't have, the most extensive training in terms of diverse and how to approach people in certain ways, or give them a new outlook, because some departments don't teach or ridicule and make sure you understand certain amendments and things like that. So, I think it's I could think it could be a cluster, but I do agree. A lot of situations, it's just that bad apple. And in the correctional aspect you were saying with his past, it is sad, but it's just the way the world works, and we'll never be able to fix it, because the whole purpose, it works in so many different ways. If I'm a owner of, or if I'm a warden and child wants to go into this field, I'm going to use my likeness to help get him into a door. Now, whether he can hold his foot and stay in the door, that's up to him.
Right.
So if you have somebody that says, "Oh, I just had a bad day," and they made a mistake, and then somebody writes off, or don't write the most in-depth report,
then it's not
then
gonna.
I literally just went in this situation, gave a whole report, and what was given back to me is nothing that was in. I'm like, how do you take a piece of information and misread it? It's so bad.
It's all learned behavior. It's learned behavior. And that's what we're talking about.
Perspectives. And that's the hard part, because like you said, you can give somebody a message, and because their perspective is completely different, they see a completely different story or a completely different outlook. So when you have different perspectives, and it's 5 different perspectives on one scene, everybody thinking something different, but everybody's shooting and jumping
yeah,
it was 6.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
if you want to talk about it, technically, it was up to 10.
It was a lot.
It's the EMT drivers, because they just got fired. It was a 6th officer from the first scene to the second scene. I mean, there was so many people out there. The cars that were driving by. I'm sorry, I stopped. If I see somebody getting pulled over at the gas station by my house, I stop and I make sure they're okay.
Right.
I will park my car and just sit at the pump and just like, okay. It's no way I could have drove past that situation and not stop. Even if you can't get out.
Check out that. You have to think about the neighborhood. Though.
Right. And I'm just saying, even with the neighborhood, but I'm just saying, even to call the police and say, hey, there's a situation out here. These cops
they
are
jumping
they're jumping this
using
guy.
them as a
like,
pinata.
Because I'm not saying that we can stop anything, but just the care in our hearts to be like, is this person okay? Like, do they make it out alive? Like,
when I talk about training, I feel like it goes into like a part of training that I am talking about is, police officers, they're trained to say stop resisting. If you just comply, nothing will happen. Okay, well, that's the officer side. What about the human perspective side?
Right.
If I see punch A is coming at my face, I don't care if you're telling me to put my hands behind my back. I'm not going to want this punch to hit my face.
I'm going to defend.
So you have, as a agency, you have to do a little bit more training in terms of, okay, if I throw this punch, I get it, he's not resisting. But if I continue to throw these punches, he might run because he's going to be running away from the punches. And if all 3 or 4 or 5 of us is throwing punches, I mean, at this point, yes, you can say he's resisting, and you can always
allegedly, the reason why he ran, and we're still waiting on the Carfax on this.
I'm believing. I'm gonna go ahead and believe this because
he ran because he recognized one of the officers as being the guy that he was cheating with the girl.
With his wife.
I mean, that's also a possibility.
He was fooling around with the wife, and you can tell because it's still investigating allegedly that he took a picture of him. Sitting on the ground
there's no allegedly.
It's on
camera.
I saw that part.
It's on tape. You can see him take the picture.
Yeah, it's a little messy.
If you look at Marcus's Instagram, he's got it circled. He's a picture of it circled. The only thing I want to hear when it comes to training is completely new training for it. Now, if that's the case and they're going to retrain everybody a different way, that needs to be funded for sure. Have military come in and train for hand-to-hand combat. Now, I agree with that. I'll push for putting as much money behind that as possible because just in general, right? I've always said this. Why, when a cop's trying to get you to put your hands behind your back, why would you punch me in the head? What is that going to do for you, right?
Exactly.
Unless you're trying to knock me out so that I can't resist, right? There are places and pressure points and points on the body that will naturally make your arm go that way.
Agreed.
So there's hit boxes and there's areas that, okay, hit him here and it'll release his arm for you to do what you got to do. Okay, cool. I'm cool with that. Yeah. But punching dude in the head 15 times, give me your arm, pop, 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 pop. That's anger. That's being vicious. That's not helping your job.
That's anger, but it's also passed through of their legal code of the one-up rule. So the same way the courtroom has certain laws that you know, it's a fine line between self-defense and murder, and it's so many like fine lines. So that's where the point of better, like you just have, like, we all have to be better at something. We all have to try it from a different perspective, because you're right, punching somebody in the face is anger, but also, is it the one-up rule that they're allowed to oblige by?
I don't think cops should be swinging fists at all. Every cop should be trained in jujitsu. Because
some situations you do have to, throw them hands, but
why?
Because
why are you going to stand with a criminal and throw hands? If I know jujitsu and I know how to do a takedown, which is what your objective is as a cop and an assailant, is to obtain that person, is to detain that person, is to put the cuffs on them, right?
I agree.
Unless the only reason you're trying to swing is if you want to knock them out, which you're already wrong. You're a cop. You are trained to come and get someone who's being unruly and get them locked down and in the car.
I agree to a certain extent. The only reason the certain extent comes from is because adrenaline and, people
just
on
natural
drugs.
reaction.
A lot of the times people are on drugs.
Excited delirium.
Things like that. So what I'm saying is, I agree. When it comes to the point of throwing punches or, pulling the firearm, you're at that point of this situation is totally out of hand. So you are already behind the L right there. But I'm saying in a situation of, where you might have to end up throwing those hands for a little bit, not, full out brawling, but for a moment, because you have some people that if you try to put a handcuff on them and they slip that hand out, jiu-jitsu, I get it in a trained master standpoint, you're perfectly fine. But you got to think.
But everybody don't know how to wax on, wax off properly.
Most people, when they get their CPL, they never pick up their firearm again, or they never go train with that firearm again.
Yeah.
So you have to apply that for some police officers. You see a lot of them when they get older.
Yeah, and you say if they taught them jujitsu, they might not keep. But
they might not keep it up.
And here's what I'm saying, though. I feel like there's a certain professions where there is not room for error, because it is like a doctor, a surgeon, right?
Yeah.
You can't give a surgeon that room, right? And you can't give a police officer or a military member that kind of leeway.
Even if it's a quarterly training of all sorts,
you gotta go roll. Just like you have to requal. You have to requal with your firearm all the time. So you should have to requal with your jiu-jitsu certification. No,
you should be able, all those kinds of things. Because like you said, as an officer, if I've been an officer for 20 something years, once you're in the field and you're working in the field, it changes the rules in your mindset of when you first train. I mean, think about us living here in America, right? We live in America. We go to elementary schools. They teach us all of those things. But to someone who's coming from another country and has to take that test, it's certain information on the test we don't even know. No. So as an officer, when you first come in, you know it because you learned it.
Regurgitating.
But if you're not doing it every single day, every single week, every single year, you lose it.
Now, I do want to say this because it's easy to say, which you guys are correct. There should be more. I don't know if they have them or not, but
maybe we should.
They should have to re-up and renew their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu card, and basic maneuver things like that. But I will say this: next time you go to a sporting event, notice how old the quote-unquote head of security is. If something popped off there, they can't stop them.
No.
So what I'm saying is, although they are not police officers, their hands are still protecting lives. So the same thing, the same lack thereof that some people think police officers have. Just look at your everyday staff. You go to a bank. How fit is the bank security? How fit is the security for the people that be doing the
school hall monitors,
or the school hall monitors, or sporting
how you gonna
events.
Stop somebody from coming in this school
Or sporting events. Like it's crazy how different you'll get a perspective of like, this person should be qualified for this. Yeah, but across the board, none of them are like that. The only people that are like that are who? The ones that get paid by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a sad fact.
That's why
We're all
that's why
we're
I
all
also think
set
that
up
police
for
officers
failure.
and firefighters should be state and federal government. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be federal
But
laws.
wait,
Why is
time out.
state,
Let me,
like-
because I know somebody's probably listening. Like, that's a crock. If you're talking about any of these organizations need more money when we're throwing thousands of dollars to every
I'm not
individual
saying
on
money.
Earth.
I'm just saying govern control.
Here's what it comes down to, in my opinion, and I'm always going to be the one y'all are going to know. If you don't know by now, you're going to know this from me eventually. I will always blame it on individuals, regardless, because everything we're talking about, they could make them get jiu-jitsu certified. They could do everything everybody says that they should do, and there's still going to be some a-hole who goes and does the wrong thing.
Always going to be
so. At the end of the day, it's all about the human, the human aspect, and us all doing better as human beings in America. Not changing the system, not changing the training, not change. People got to be better people.
You can't change another person. Only thing you can do is be a spark.
Y'all wanna real quick? I'm gonna read y'all these two different things.
Oh Lord,
you know me.
Yeah.
So I just quickly Googled like qualifications for becoming a police officer, and then qualifications for becoming a state police officer. The list extensively different, like crazy.
Yes.
Regular police officer, all you need to be is 18, U.S. citizen, high school diploma or GED, no felonies, good moral character, driver's license. Boom. That's it. For a state, you have to be at least 21. You have to be recruited by a school guardian. You must have a high school diploma or a GED, valid driver's license, no felonies or convictions. You must pass a minimum hearing requirements and visual standards and all these things. You have to be recruited to be state. Why you ain't got to be recruited to just go?
No, you don't have to be recruited. You can apply. It may say that, but you can.
But I'm just saying, even the stipulations when you look it up. Why shouldn't it be like?
Well, you also
it's a matter of
need.
need.
Have to think about jurisdiction. So with, like sheriff's departments, they also have extensive criteria because you have to do I believe 1 year minimum as a CO, or at least work in the jail system. So. Different agencies have different requirements, and they may be, a lot of them are more extensive than city departments. The problem is we all have, just notice all these situations. It's always city departments. The city departments is the issue. So they need help now
getting structured and figuring out how to control their workers.
And some are, you're more inclined to have a city department be corrupt than an entire sheriff agency.
Less oversight.
I never paid attention to that.
Less oversight. It's less consequences.
Absolutely, it's boundaries.
I told you. What I tell you, I feel like everything on earth that's bad is due to lack of consequence.
Absolutely. So, I don't want to crash you guys' show.
Oh, you get the show's been over for like 10 minutes.
That is very true.
Man, I told y'all this was gonna get. And we could talk about this for another 17. Wifey said I had to do a polygraph too for sheriff's department. So see, but that's why continuing and checking up on, because you got to think when people get used to certain allowances and they get jaded by the job or whatever the case may be, 10, 15 years into it, doesn't matter what you were before you were a cop. Now you've got jaded and you've been towing the line and getting away with it for so long, you're going to keep pushing and towing the line.
Think about when I looked into Breonna Taylor's the cops, they were Metro City cops. That was a city police department.
I wonder, that's an interesting thing to look into. Out of all these cases that have gone big, have they all been city?
Now I'm going to do my research.
Dun, dun, dun.
But listen, y'all, this is our last final
That's it.
day talking about this. I don't know. I've jumped into a more bigger rabbit hole of people talking about how this guy on Twitter, he said his name, and I know we're over our show, okay?
Yeah,
but
we
y'all are
in
here
here.
and we are here, so we here together, okay? Again, I'm your girl, the Princess of All,
And I'm Cujo Speaks.
and we are from the Good Time Show, and we're
Hey.
just kind of finishing this off. Dak on Twitter at Nachai20_blood. He says, I'm a born and raised Memphian with friends in law enforcement. I have heard from people close to the Memphis Police Department Tyree Nichols was indeed involved with an officer's wife. The officers were actively looking for him prior to the stop. Tyree apparently bolted when he recognized one of them. And like, there's multiple people who are
it's not
saying,
just one person
like,
saying that.
oh, we didn't know that they were creeping. So
It's crazy. It's wild.
And then that goes into another whole discussion. The jails are filled with what? People who kill because of love and lack of respect. You know what I'm saying? So it goes into, yeah, you're being human. You're human because the passion of love, but should you know how to separate those two for your job?
You got to.
You know
You
what I'm
have
saying?
to.
Like,
I can't believe. Anyway.
anyways,
Well,
I got a potty because we
Yeah,
did not
if y'all
take
want to talk
our
about
time
this more,
out.
hit me up, DM me. I'll feel free to.
Yeah, we
I will
might do
talk
like
to
an
you
off the
about it.
screen live or
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
I'm down
Behind
to
the
I'll still
scenes.
talk about it, but I don't want to
Bring it back to our
take the
show.
time on the show. But I'll definitely, and me personally, let's talk about it.
Yes, but are we
Wait.
gonna read a quote? Oh, we gotta read a quote before
Can't
we
forget.
go.
Since we already over, we can't just not. Hopefully I don't get a novel. Dang. Is there any small ones in here?
Oh, no, I told you they were all
Golly.
filtered.
All
on
books.
They were large.
All books.
I hope today's actually go with it.
Like, mind your business. The theme of today, folks, is mind your business. All right.
Just mind your business.
There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. I don't know if it really coincides, but
Not today.
I do like that though. There are only
I do.
two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything
I guess you
is a
could.
miracle.
I mean,
Yeah.
if nothing was a miracle, then we wouldn't
I
be
was
here,
just talking to somebody
so-
about that the other day, and it's about perspective. Like I did a whole. Didn't we do a show about?
On perspective,
I talked about
we did.
perspective. So this would have been great for that show
Yeah, not
because, as I was explaining to my wife on our road trip, this is heaven or hell on earth, depending on how you feel about certain things. Like driving on a road trip, beautiful scenery. Some people love the solemnness of the. Oh my God, this is heaven. Oh, really? Yeah, this is terrible. So it's all about perspective. Let's stay alive, people. I don't want to hear no bad news before the next time I'm on this air.
Yep, I agree. Listen, stay safe. Phone a friend, phone home, ET, and call me if you need me. Instagram, call me. I got my attorneys. We lit. All right. Again, until tomorrow. It's been fun.
It's been trill. It's been so freaking real.
I'm your girl, the Princess of All.
And I'm Cujo Speaks.
Ladies, stay pretty.
King stay king, and
Deuces.
bye, Alicia.
Good